Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. Peace and love, family. Peace and love. I want to rise upon the 7 and give all praises to the great God, whom I call Allah, my Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, and honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. Give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. This is a powerful, powerful measure that I'm getting ready to bring forth to our Moorish kin. You know, also all of those who are not Moorish, you know, anybody that's listening to me, those within the sounds of my voice, we got a grand drawing to bring to the manifest. And we're going to chop it down like we've been chopping them down lately. And we're going to see if we can knock this off in a timely manner. Just something that came across my desk, so to speak. You know, I don't even be planning this stuff. I just be in another area. Next thing you know, it's upon me. So this is going to be a powerful demonstration right here, family. You know, stop letting them people mislead y'all and think we ain't giving y'all no real information over here. And you're going to continue to be lost. So we're going to put this out here. It's entitled Medu, Debunking the Myth of Hieroglyphic Decipherment. And what are we saying? We know Medu means the language of God. You know, in the case what we demonstrate, we talking about the God within the self. Anybody that tell you that they don't honor that and they don't believe that, they don't believe in themselves. You see what I'm saying? We ain't talking about no spook outside of the self sitting up in the heavens nowhere, because your heavens is above your neck. Your heaven is your thinking apparatus. So that's where the God reside within you. When you say be and it is, you can bring things into existence. If you don't believe in that within yourself, then, you know, that's on you. But anyway, you know, Medu, debunking the myth of hieroglyphic decipherment is what we laying out. And we're going to try to lay it out very briefly, because we got to go to another class at about 7 o'clock. But this is going to be fulfilling in the era of dealing with the time, and we like to use classical sources that existed prior to a lot of these sources that you see people having now. That's the thing you getting here. You getting quality information when you come to my platform, and this is your platform too. If you are willing to come forth and demonstrate, we don't deal with that Negro concept of going back and forth, arguing, hooping and hollering, cussing. That ain't what we do over here, So what I'm gonna do too from the onset, just while I'm building, I make it a habit now to drop my link in the chat so that our family can come in here. But like I said, y'all ain't gonna get this information nowhere else. If you want to see somebody that ain't got no fear and going against the grain, going against popular opinion and having information to back that up, if you got the same mind and heart in you that you willing to think for yourself and you ain't letting nobody else think for you, this the platform that you need to be on. You see, if you tired of people hollering pseudo, because they see information that they ain't able to embrace, and they use that term as a cop-out, come over here. You got a lot of people like to say, oh, they playing semantics, and that lets you know that people are ignorant because they don't even know what the word semantic means. Semantic actually has to do with getting to the root of the truth, the studying the truth. So who don't want to deal with semantics from that standpoint? You see what I'm saying? Let me go in here. This is going to be my first expose, so to speak, just dealing with that one word right there. I'm going to share my screen and show y'all what I'm talking about. Because some of our people are constantly being deceived. Over here, we're going to wake you up for real. We're going to wake you up for real, family. You hear me? So, and we want to go to the root. Look at this. Let's just go here. We'll go here to just cut the chase. I want you to see the root of it. You hear people when you get to talk about linguistics and all that, all you playing semantics. They using all this language and these words because they think they fancy. They done seen the Europeans use them, right? So we find out that semantics, dealing with the Greek, deals with significant. In other words, you are trying to get to the significant truth. What is wrong with that, people? What's wrong with trying to get to the real deal, down to the nitty gritty? See, that's the problem people been reaping in a scanty way. It is the study of reference and meaning of truth. So what's wrong trying to get to the bottom of the truth, family? Huh? So when somebody get up there and you hear them running their beak or running their mouth and they go to tell about, man, we ain't gonna play no semantic. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to get into. We want to get to the truth of the matter. You see, so a lot of these cats be saying stuff trying to sound slick, to deceive those who don't know as much as they may know, which means they are insulting your intelligence, people. They think that you are too dumb or too ignorant to comprehend what they're saying. You see, but I'm the champion that's on the manifest, fighting for my people, fighting for you who really want you to have the truth. I don't waste my time to do all of this right here. It ain't no such thing with me with time. So I ain't wasting time. I'm really, gaining in time, when it comes to teaching. I love doing what I do. I'm not disgruntled at having to do all the strenuous research I do and giving it to you all, just as I do. I give it to you from the heart. But one thing about it, when y'all get through with them, by the time you get exposed to this, they ain't going to really be able to say too much. They ain't going to be able to talk over your head. They can't mislead you. Even if you don't agree with, the ideology I stand, that's cool. I'm just trying to arm you with the information so these people won't harm you, with that infiltration of Eurocentric domination when it comes to what you study. You don't have to be what I am. You don't have to accept my way of life. That's cool. But I'm going to give you this information, so that you may be able to be armed. And I guarantee you, when you go in their presence, they ain't going to be able to deal with you. They can't deal with me. So that's why they try to write him off. Oh, he's pseudo, because that's the only way you can deal with me. You got to just try to dismiss me, but you can't cancel me because I am the culture. No matter how you try to stomp me out, like we say in our teaching, the truth crushed to the earth will rise again. That's what Prophet Noble Ali taught the Moors. So you can act like or try to ignore. That ain't gonna make me go away. You can ignore it all you want to. That ain't gonna change the truth that I'm putting out here. You can try to assassinate my intellectual character, but that ain't gonna stop me from teaching. You know, only the ignorant will go for that right there. We used to call them gophers back in the days. So, without further ado or delay, family, you know, like I said, we're going to bring this truth on the manifest because we love giving our people the truth. We love giving the public the truth. We love bringing our people out of darkness into this marvelous light of their own intelligence. It's in you to be what's in you. And I know y'all sharp out there. I know y'all are intellectually savvy out there. You see, so these are the people that I cater to. And it's free too. Especially when it comes to me, I'm giving it freely out of the love, family. All I ask you to pay is a little attention and get the drawing. So watch this. So I'm going to go further into this special measure, and we're going to kill it with minimal slides. A lot of times you see me pull out everything, the whole bag. We're going to kill this demonstration with minimal slides, and your participation going to make this possible. Because this right here is finna be a real serious situation, you know, in a few minutes too. So as we always do, you know, we got to represent, you know, and let it be known where we coming from. The Egyptian adept is research sultanate. Again, you know, when you remove all of the letters prior to the first letter, it spells ears. You see, he who has an ear to hear, then let them. Y'all don't even know, but they got a whole stele in ancient Kemet with just ears on them. Just ears on the stele. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you real quick. You know what I mean? So we want to see what they would make out of this. Because this ain't no hieroglyphic. They ain't got no hieroglyphic with these right here. So how they going to interpret this? That's what I want to know. How can they interpret this since they know so much? Ain't no alphabet out there, nor a determinative that's dealing with this. So what is their interpretation of this? Ask them that right there, the one that think they dealing with some comedicism. Ask them why the ancient Egyptians depicted ears on stele. Because you ain't going to find that nowhere in the alphabets now. But these things you will find all over the place. You see? They're all over the place, family. It's at the British Museum, where you actually find ancient Kemetic relics, you know, primary sources. You know, what is the significance of these ears on the stele, family? I would think you should listen many times more, you know, than you speak, so to speak, right? And half of them willing to listen when they listening to their own echo chamber. But when it comes to Brother Commission, you know, they want to shut down. They don't want to hear nothing Commission got to say. I'm cool with that, though. You see what I'm saying? Because it ain't a popularity contest with me over here. I'm just here to let the people know you've been lied to. Look at this. You don't hear them talking about these ears, do you? Yeah. So when you see me come up here and I'm talking about this Egyptian adept, this research sultanate session, and we talking about them ears, he who has ears to hear and a heart to sympathize with the truth, let him. Egyptian adept is research sultanate. It's science in this. You got to hear with your heart, your spiritual heart, family. I want to show you some things because I allude to this all the time. You know, when I talk about how your boy Champollion came up with his little, you know, alphabets and he assigned them. And I'm just giving y'all a working model right here to show you exactly what I'm referring to. For those who don't know what this is what we call the Meroitic, you know, alphabet. Now, this Meroitic alphabet was actually assigned phonetics to them. The Medu was never assigned phonetics to them. See, that's why up here I have Meroitic right here. This is coming out of the Sudan. In fact, my DNA is attached to the Sudan according to my markers on the maternal and the paternal side. You see, so okay, that's why I have this, written here. This is the Nubian script. Old Nubian script is actually the key to decipherment of this. It ain't never been deciphered yet. But I'm telling you that the key to deciphering the Meroitic script of my ancestors, you see, according to my DNA, I'm telling you now before anybody do it, is actually Old Nubian. You see? And for those who don't know what Old Nubian is, I'm going to show you what Old Nubian is real quick. Like I said, I ain't trying to be too long. I showed this to you before. Some of you may already know. Old Nubian script. Hold up, let me make sure I put this here so it know exactly and precisely what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you what the Old Nubian looked like. This is Old Nubian right here, family, which they call the Nabian language. You see that right there in alphabet and pronunciation? Oh, that looked real familiar, don't it? It actually looked like what we call Coptic. Wait a minute. It is Coptic. Oh, it also looked like what they like to call Greek too, huh? Oh, they say that Greek gave birth to this, huh? See, that's some nonsense. People got to stop it. Do you know that in the Old Nubia language that, again, most of your biblical texts are found in this particular script, Old Nubian? See, they ain't never told you this, but this is the type of information you're going to learn about when Commission tell you. So what they have been talking about and calling Greek translations, it really comes from this family. This is Old Nubian right here. You see that? This is Old Nubian. You see? We're going to wake you up, I'm telling you. So again, this is the actual key to deciphering the Meroitic language. And all you have to do is compare those alphabets I showed you to this is special. And this, they actually did it here already, to be honest with you. All you got to do is compare it to the Meroitic script, which is right here. And once you compare them to each other, you will see that they're the same. Now, this particular portion of the actual written expression, is basically consisting of both hieratic and demotic. So in other words, they made this script out of hieratic and demotic, and we're going to touch on some of that. And this is why you got to study the language in order to get deep into this, and get a real clear conception of what's been going on. You will always be misled, family. The Old Nubian alphabet, is the essence of the matter. Here goes somebody that been doing, look here, they've been doing their research over here. See, it's how it's showing you, the hieratic. Then they so-called Greek over here, they so-called modern Greek, which that so-called Greek alphabet come from it's really Phoenician. All you got to look at letter A, B, you see, G, and then you go, all the way when you go down there. So what they call in Greek, how can it be Greek if Phoenician? It was Phoenician first. You see, how can this be Greek if it was Old Nubian and he Coptic first? Don't believe that lie that no Greek gave birth to no Coptic language. Just because they write it that way don't mean you have to accept that. You understand? Like right here, they got it here, but then up under they want to put Coptic here. You see? No, Coptic is the last form of the Egyptian language in the modern time, because Coptic came after Demotic. Greek didn't come after the Demotic language. You see? So stop letting these people lie to you and mislead you, family. I don't care how many people in scholar. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to say the same thing over and over and over again, even if it's wrong. It's just like somebody that you may be talking to at a corporation and they at a cable company. and you asking them questions and they keep saying the same thing over, they can only tell you, you know, that information based on where they are, because they're not the supervisor, so they can't overrule what's being stated. So that's why most of the time I bypass them first people. Let me speak to your supervisor. You see what I'm saying? So in this special case right here, like I said, all you got to do is look at it. If they said that Coptic was the last of the Egyptian language, all you got to do is think. If Coptic was the last script, then how are you putting Greek before Coptic? Come on now. And then we talk about Old Nubian being the same thing. I just showed it to you. And there we go. They giving it up to you right here. Look at here. They giving it up to you in the order. Look at that. Demotic, Meroitic, that I just showed you. Old Nubian, Nabian, right? We're going to get into this in a minute too. This is also really, well, we'll get to that later. And then it comes into the Coptic. You see? Family, we can't let them get away with this no more. You see? This right here, this is powerful right here, family. Yes, sir. There it go. There it go. I like that, Brother Hunter. That's what I'm talking about. They was dropped on the ground of the wall, but they were written, and they were never meant to be understood as an alphabet. You see, they was never meant to be understood as an alphabet is what I'm getting at. You see? But that's correct. That is correct information, good brother. We honor you for that. You know, but you have some out here trying to speak on these things as if they alphabet. Well, we finna expose them today. So going back here to the ears, Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate, you know, I'm gonna give y'all another grand drawing too, family. I want to make sure my screen's still shared. You know, being that I come through the lineage, or my DNA can be traced back to the Sudan, right? Which is really upper Kemet. You see, there's a prophecy that I resonate with, you know, that refers to the work that I'm doing right now. And it's dealing with the prophecy of Neferti. And it says, then a Nasut, a king, will come from the south. Now we know on the map, Upper Egypt was really in the southern region of the map of what they call Africa today, right? The Sudan. You see? Southeast to be specific. But not only that, I'm coming from the south on the map over here in the United States, right? It said this one coming from the south, a mini, and that's also a portion or attribute in my name. You know, I had that attribute for years before I came across this prophecy. This prophecy inspires me to do the work that I'm doing. My high name is Shedu Aminti El Muhejit Shepsuel, which is the same in the line with a mini, right? But it says the Nasut, a king, will come from the south, justified by name, son of a woman of Tarseti. Tarseti represent the people of Nubia, a child of Upper Egypt. He will take the white crown. He will wear the red crown, and he will join the two mighty ones, the two crowns. And you see me with the white and the red crown in the form of my turban being wrapped around my Taj, with the Uraeus coming forth from my forehead as a swift angel. You see? So that's my inspiration, that my ancestors are speaking through me to my people. You see? So nevertheless, let me go back over here. So what we have here is the Meroitic script, and then we have, some people would just call this plain out Demotic, even though it's an admixture of Demotic and Hieratic. They would call this script right up under these pictorials, you know, Demotic. And then you have your regular transliteration tools as means of alphabets, or your phonetic sounds. You know, the A, E, I, O, U, they have all the vowels. So when people be saying the vowels wasn't in the, no, the vowels existed in the Nubian language, in the language of the Nubian people. You see? So we take the vowels that are in the Nubian language and we can place them in between the consonants that are in the Kemetic expression of hieratic, not hieroglyphs, but hieratic and the other demotic aspects. And that's how we can sound it out. Eurocentric Egyptologists say just put the E in there, unless you go into the N and you put U or W or whatever the case may be, right? So nevertheless, Meroitic script, are symbols, and they are given the value of the demotic, and then they come into, so these are 3 stages: a pictorial, then an alphabet, and then phonetic soundings. These are the 3 degrees of the Meroitic language. In hieroglyphs are just pictorials. Champollion is the one tried to do what was done with Meroitic to the hieroglyphs. Prior to that, like you see this chart. This is an ancient chart, that has these things here. But you don't see a hieroglyphic chart that has letters assigned to pictures prior to Champollion creating his. Can't nobody debunk me making that statement. You ain't gonna find no hieroglyphics of the ancient Egyptians where they have these sounds connected to them prior to the one that Champollion created. Period. You see, if you could find that, then you can debunk everything I'm saying when I tell you that the pictures are meant to be metaphysics according to our ancestors. And I'm using this chart as an example. So now this chart has its own order of letters here. And you can see that there are a few letters that we have in English that are not in the English alphabet. That's an offshoot of the Latin. You don't see none of those alphabets in here. You see, you don't see a J in here. You don't see a C in here. You don't see a Z in here, and a few more of them, right? But if I were to tell you to spell, for example, the word dog with this particular chart, using our way we did it, you would choose this letter for the letter D, right? Then you would go over here and choose this for your letter O. This would be your picture, this symbol and this symbol. See the I? And then the head here. And there is no G here. So you couldn't even find a G in here to complete that. So you just got D and O, right? So knowing the language, me being one who know how this goes, I know G is interchangeable with the letter K. You see? G is interchangeable with the letter K. C is also interchangeable with the letter K too. So I would actually choose this. So it would be spelled, if I was using this chart, as D, O, and K. You see, dark. You see, which brings into a whole different language or whatever the case may be, right? So that's what I would have to do. Now, I will show you the way dog is spelled here. Let me make sure this right here, let me insert it. I'm going to use dog. I'm going to use the Meroitic script that's here and watch how it comes out. I'm showing you this for a reason. Okay, so here's my box. Let me make sure I want to move this word box without having to move my script out the way. Come on now. Okay, hold up. We're going to do it like this because I want to make sure it's where it need to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spell the word dog. That's where I want the box to be at. Okay, so that's dog right there, right? Now, being that this is regular alphabets right here. This is our alphabet. I just have it in this particular setting right here to make an example to you. So it's not exactly the way this is in order because our alphabet, some of them not here. Like we just showed you, the G ain't there. So I'm going to turn this back to regular font so that y'all can see this. I'm going to show you how easy it was Champollion to create what he did. You see that? That's your ABCs that you normally deal with in the English alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, all of it right there. Now I'm going to convert it back to the Meroitic, right? So this is dog based upon that font that I have in this system. Oh, we giving you a working model today. You see, now based upon the way that I spell dog, based on the alphabet of the English, because this is the English order, It don't even put it in the way it would be with this chart. So what would this be now that I have, let me blow this up too. Now that I have this up here, because I showed you, I'm showing you when we deal with the concept of talking about Champollion decipherment, how people can make some real bad mistakes. So if this, again, is the letter D, right? This is the D, that's the same, right? This is the letter O. What happened? This symbol is changed here. This is the letter TO here. So they're using this right here actually as the vowel. So they expect you to know that TO is the letter O here, instead of this being the letter O. You see? TO, right? But then right here we have this last measure here. Look like an I, but it's different. But this is actually letter H, a hard H too, like ko. The same way as this is the letter K right here, ko. So this is like KH, a hard K, ko, like him, ko. So this would be D-O, ko, dog. Same thing. Whether you look at it either way, family. But this is not in the same way, so it's kind of throwing it off a little bit, right? And we can do the same thing with many other words. You know, I can put the word cat in here, and you're going to see some inconsistencies. That's C-O-T right there, right? This is cat. This is cat, because that's your C, that's your A, and that's your T, right? According to this chart. Well, how would this come out here? This is K-H, right? They go to A, right? And that's K-H-A-T, right? Cat, right? So you got some closeness here, right? What about, let's see, water. I'm just putting random words up here, family. Okay, so you have water. Okay, so this would be your W here. That's your A, right? You got your T here, right? And then they have, what letter was that? That's your E. And then that is your R in this particular chart, right? Well, let us try this. E. Let me see something. Zag. Let's put that there. Zag. So there is no Z in this particular chart here. So what I would have to do is I would have to change that to this letter, which is a S. Sag, right? And then you got the A here, but it's still no G, so I got to put the K there. So it will be Z-A-K-H. So I'm showing you how different words will be changed based on the limitation of a letter, based on its sound and pronunciation, you know, and certain things that carry over across languages. You see, but this chart and its alphabets that are dealing with the sounds are not the same exactly as this. But if you didn't know no better, you know, you would think that if you took these this font that I'm using, it's going to automatically deal with accurately depicting what's here. So I'm showing you that I can take the English language and put it here. And if you didn't know no better, you'll think I'm dealing with, you know, the actual Meroitic script. But words that we use over here don't exist as the same thing. They are not called cat in the way that we speak of them in the English. They're not called water in the way that we speak of these things in the English. They have their own words that they express for cat, dog, or water. You see what I'm saying? So you can't use the script that way. And all these right here really represent different letters that exist in our alphabet, but they don't exist in this particular alphabet. You see? So I'm showing you how easy it is to create your own script off of pictorials. You see? I could have assigned, instead of the letter A here, the letter E, or the letter G right here, or the letter T, and made it what I want to make it. And it'll come out just how I want it to come out. But that don't make it correct, according to the ancient ancestors. You see? That's what I'm getting at. Same thing right here. This is actually the Demotic script that I was telling you that they actually used. Down here, a lot of Demotic letters they took out, but they also took some hieratic letters out. So the combination is between hieratic and Demotic. And you see here where they're trying to superimpose these symbols over these particular shapes and make them the alphabet. You see, and that's where they got the people fooled at. You know, and this is only based on the aspect of if you got over 7,000 glyphs, family, you know, it is only certain amounts of repetition that you're going to see people produce when it comes to symbols in the world. So when they go to producing these things and you go to trying to find things to compare them to, you know, you can try to make it look like certain things are what they are, but you can't prove that the ancestors demonstrated that. And that's the main measure in here. And we can see it in a lot of cases in here where some of these shapes are actually cursive hieroglyphs. Cursive hieroglyphs that they mixed into this chart right here ain't got nothing to do with the real hieratic. Because real hieratic, you know, don't look nothing like a lot of these different pictorials here. So when you see these symbols that look right, like this is spot on, that's a cursive hieroglyph. You see, cursive hieroglyphs. You see what I'm saying? You got to go back to the time of the dynasties. So if you don't know all this stuff right here, you're going to be lost. You're going to keep thinking them people right in everything they tell you. But I'm somebody that done did the research, so I'm telling you what it is. Now let's go to another alphabet that was made into pictorials, you know, based upon Egyptian inscriptions. These pictorials were made into phonetics in the Hebrew alphabet. Now check this out, because I'm going to go back to something in a minute. This is all of what they call Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, right? Wait a minute. These are glyphs, symbols. Well, this is the letter B here. But when we go over to, let's go back to the one they were trying to say with hieroglyphic. It's the letter H over here. You see what I'm saying? So who is the one that's demonstrating it right if they both got it from the Egyptians? Is it a letter H or is it a letter B? Same symbol, but just turned upside down. Well, what about the letter Aleph? This is the letter A here, right? But when you go back to what I was showing you earlier, this is the letter O over here in the Meroitic script, right? But then when you go back here, you don't even see the head of the cow up here in this Egyptian lineup. This is the letter A. You see? So we see other nations taking these different pictures and putting them on the side of their alphabet. And I could have actually went from the letter A to this letter A here, you know, and go to the letter B right here and this letter B here. That's a leg. That's not the same. I can go to this letter G right here, right? And we don't see a G in here, but we know actually the letter K, you know, would be seen as G if we deal with sound shifting. You see? Oh, there go your G right here. And then when you link it up right here, par and self, there you go. It's still not the same symbol, right? This is D. Look at this and then look at the symbol here. This is hey. And some of the charts, what it is, some of these charts that's considered Egyptian, some of them would change the letter K to the letter K, and you won't see a G in it. Some of it will be a H for the letter K. It's depending on who chart you're using. So this is the letter V, right? Vol. You never really see the V used too much in the Egyptian chart, even though they have it down here as a V as a viper. But that's actually the letter F in normal charts. That's the letter F is what they try to say that picture represents. See, this is not one of them that we know to be Egyptian or Kemetic. We know this sign definitely is, though, but we don't see it in the chart. This represents a town. This is called a bastic or a snake right here. This arm, which is yod, right? Yod, yod, yah. Sometimes they say yah. You see, and that's connecting right here to this particular measure. But this is the letter A. That's not the letter Y. You see what I'm saying? It actually becomes Yah. And, you know, sometimes they'll say, well, this is Ah, dealing with a deity in ancient Kemet as well. So we can go on and find different things. This is like the letter I, Ain, right? But when you look at, you know, this particular alphabet, you know, where's the I at? You see? So they got totally different meanings from these two charts here. And a lot of those have different meanings from what they have in their meaning here. Because the letter, where the symbol for I here represents the letter D. But when you go back over here, again, where is it? Where's that letter I? You don't see it up here, do you? Come over here, you don't see it over here, do you? You see it right here, but it represents Ain. That's the letter A, as opposed to, the letter we mentioned. So now there's another group of Europeans that recently came up with their own breakdown, and they trying to debunk Champollion because they system worked to them. It's called Hieroglyphics, and they have created this from the language in Welsh. And they saying Champollion used Coptic, which we always tell you. They said, but it's not Coptic. It was the Welsh language that deals with the decipherment of hieroglyphic. You think I'm playing, don't you? Watch this. Y'all think I'm playing? These Europeans done created their own system. Here it go right here. I was actually getting ready to make a purchase on it. They use the same symbols Champollion used up here, like Cleopatra and Ptolemy, all them different names that he have. And they got a whole book and breakdown on hieroglyphs. You can go on YouTube and see it right here. These are they speaking about it, and they call themselves debunking. You know what Champollion had. So they saying that it was Welsh and it was never Coptic. How do you think it was possible for them to be able to do that, family? If they was able to do it, because it's the same thing what I just showed you with the English language. See, they took the same name dealing with Alexander, and this is their breakdown of this. So they're telling you that the hieroglyphics were not, transliterated and deciphered with Champollion's system, which is Coptic. They say that this was done. Look at that. They're saying that this was done basically with, the teachings of their particular demonstration. And the only reason they can do that, is because they didn't do nothing more than what I just demonstrated right here when I was showing y'all the comparison of the different letters in the alphabet. So that's the working model to give you an example on how easy it is to create your own language. All you got to do is get a few pictures, that you can find on the monuments, and then put your alphabetical script. I could easily do this with Arabic. I can take these same letters and put Arabic on here, the Arabic letters beside this, and then I spell out the Arabic words, and then I use the pictures, and then when I transliterate it into Arabic, and now I have Arabic terminology. I can do it with what people call Hebrew. I can do it with what they call Phoenician, or any language. Put it beside these pictures and come up with my own. All Champollion did is put Greek letters that he called them, which is really coming from the Coptic, on the side of these demonstrations. And Coptic priests were the one who did it, and he came up with his so-called decipherment. But Coptic in this form didn't exist as an alphabet to the ancient Egyptians. They never dealt with Coptic. They never seen Coptic. The ancient Egyptians did. So how you gonna use a Coptic language to transliterate the symbols of ancient Egyptian? You see, it don't make no sense. Remember, Coptic was invented later. That's like me inventing my own alphabet now and saying the ancient alphabet is based off of my own alphabet that I have on the manifest now. Don't make no sense, do it? Let me get to the real demonstration, because I've been telling y'all for the longest, about these languages and so forth and so on, and how they was produced, and how originally hieroglyphics, we're not downcasting them and getting away from them. What we are saying is that they were metaphysical. You see? So I got a book right here. Now y'all know Champollion work didn't start until later. when he saw it so-called Decipherment. Now, this is before Champollion. Matter of fact, Champollion was knee-high to a duck's behind when this text was produced. This particular text right here, family, is from the 1800s, and Champollion was a little youngin' at this time. Notice what it say now. It says hieroglyphic alphabets, ancient alphabets, and hieroglyphic characters explained. You see? And this is actually from Amin al-Bubikar bin Washi. This is Ibn Washi. Ibn Washi was delving into a lot of these things before Champollion was even known. I want you to listen to what he say here. Right? Listen to it. It says, and I'm just going into certain aspects because y'all can go and look at it later because I want to make sure I go to my other class. I may end up just checking in and then drawing this out because I want to make sure y'all get it. If I can't get to the point I want to be, that's what I'll probably do. Just check in real quick, and then come back. So listen to this. Because he's talking about the origin of the ancient alphabet and he's going to get into hieroglyph. This is before Champollion's so-called decipherment. He ain't the only one that demonstrated in this way. Apollo demonstrated the same way. He got his book as well. Matter of fact, I'll start from, because this is just the preface here, the beginning. It's talking about the alphabets that are given. And I want to get straight to the meat of this drawing. Okay, it says, no, that wasn't the one I had earlier. Here it is, right here. This is where I wanted to start at. It says, we proceed now to the hieroglyphs called in Arabic Hermesian. Now, for people don't know, in other words, they're saying in the Arabic teachings, they refer to, the Kemetic as Hermetic. This is why you hear a lot about the Hermetic, and that term Hermetic comes from a lot of the Greek scholars, so to speak, as they like to call them. You see? But when we go further back, we get into the Hecapta. We see that a lot of the so-called Greek is really Hecapta, going back to Old Nubian. And so we can still grasp this measure of the Arabs talking about Hermesian or Hermetic alphabets. That's what they referring to. They says in Arabic, Hermesian alphabets from Hermes. And they're referring to Hermes. And Hermes really is another name to them for Tehuti. According to the Oriental history, was the first king of the ancient Egyptians. Tehuti, Thought. They call him the god of writing. That's who they really talking about, family. They say it is impossible to clear up entirety of darkness in which the history of this triple Hermes, and they call him thrice blessed. That's why they said that. It says is involved. How? It says he is, however, evidently the Hermes Trismegistus of the Greeks, and possibly the same with the triple Rama of the Indians. So Rama in India, they are saying is the same as Hermes, because they actually use the name Hamrasia as well. Haramisia. Haramisia, like you can hear Ramesses in there too. But anyway, it says the old kings of Egypt are comprehended by us under the general name of pharaohs. The Oriental historians divide them into three dynasties. Oriental mean the people of the Eastern, scholarship. It states the Hermesian, number one, the pharaohs, number two, and the Coptic or properly Egyptian kings, number three. This is the way that they break it down in their language, right? So this will really be Kemetic, aspects of dealing with it. And this goes into your Pharaonic. And then they saying this is your Egyptian, which is Coptic. Hecapta is where the word Egyptian actually comes from. Hecapta of the house of Ptah is the way you say it properly. So it says the Coptic properly king. It says to the first, in particular, Hermes, threefold himself. They ascribe the tombs and catacombs, the temples, places, and pyramids, and obelisks, sphinx, and all the royal, funeral, religious, and astronomical monuments which astonished the traveler in Upper Egypt. So now all you got to do is replace the name Hermes with Tehuti, and you understand all of these things were said to be originated according to certain ancient scholarship of Kemet. They say Tehuti was the one that built certain temples and pyramids and the Sphinx and dealt with astrological and astronomical information. It says, but incapable of distinguishing them or of finding out their true appropriation, they believe all of them to have been constructed. It says, for the purpose of hiding treasures, raising spirits, of telling fortunes, future events, of performing chemical operations, of an attracting affection and repelling evils, or indicating approaching enemies, and they call them according to those supposed purposes: treasure chambers, conjuring buildings, astrological tables, alchemical monuments, magical spells, talisman, magic alarm posts. The secrets of the contents of these monuments, or of the arts by means of which they are erected, were expressed as they believe by the hieroglyphics upon them, which being invented by Hermes. So it says he kept secret by his descendants, who were called Hermesian alphabet. So Hermesian alphabet is another name of what we are referring to today as hieroglyphics. But they're saying all of the knowledge of chemical operation and repelling evil. In other words, like I keep telling the people, there's some formula in these pictorials. They ain't just mere alphabetical letters. It's a lot more knowledge that is in these symbols than just saying it's a letter A, letter B, and letter C. They already had an alphabet for that. That's hieratic. Then came the Demotic. Then came the Cop. They already had that. So them pictures are more special. They are of a specialty level. They are formulas, people. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it says, this specimen of Oriental writings being known to us is difficult, either to confirm or to contradict the explanation of our author. The most reasonable objections which can be made against the explanation of many of the hieroglyphics is counterbalanced by the evident truth that a great many of them are known to have been invariably used in astronomy, chemistry, and chemistry for expressing the same objects. So some of these symbols represent astronomical and chemical properties, like an astronomical sign or constellations. That's what some of these pictures that we're looking at as glyphs represent. They represent signs that are in the heavens. That's why you hear them talking about the Great Bear, the constellation of Bull. All of these things are depicted in, the hieroglyphic when you deal with the animal aspects of them. You see? And also it deals with what we call now a periodic table that we use alongside of the gematria to basically be able to go into chemical makeup of everything in creation. And these things allow us the ability to go into the chemistry from an alchemical process, and we can come up with being able to cure ourselves of certain illnesses and diseases and so forth and so on. So I'm trying to give you that knowledge. They want to keep you in the state of mind where you're dealing with the knowledge and you put it in the box of being a letter in the alphabet. And those in secret societies want you to do that because they know once you have this knowledge and you begin to become proficient in it and you become powerful in it, you're a threat now with this knowledge. It says, if the meaning of some of them does not prove satisfactory, there are others to the truth of which no important objection. And it goes on, and it's actually showing you that these things were all the symbols, they represented treasure chambers, and we're going to go on. It represented astrological tables, alchemical monuments, magical spells, talismans, magical inscriptions, secrets of the art. So all of these things are what are being hidden. Knowledge of the spirits, alchemistry. This is what is hidden behind the symbols. You see, only when Champollion came in, he started trying to make these symbols into, or these pictures into words, through alphabet. So anyway, it says, which no important objection, it says, can be made. It says, such are the hieroglyphics mentioned to have been represented on the tombs for conveying to posterity the character, mode of life and death in the person buried therein. The 7 figures, see hieroglyphics original, page 124, which is in the book, is said to have been engraved on the tombs of men killed by violent death, show evidently different modes of it: lightning decollation of a bite of a serpent death, or the hatchet by poison, and pointed by strangulation. So they saying a lot of these things that people call in cartouches, and talking about it was the royal name of a king. This is actually, they saying these symbols actually just explain the way by which somebody died. And they didn't do it by talking words. They did it by putting the pictures up there. You see, showing that this person died by this mean. That person ain't got nothing to do with naming no royal kings like they suggest. At least this is what they saying. This is before Champollion is born, this work that we reading from now. It says the same concordance between the hieroglyphic sign and the object meant will be discovered by the close inspection of the 4 tables of hieroglyphs. It will be sufficient to mention here a single instance of original merit, a true discovery made by this manuscript, the name of one of the most interesting hieroglyphics, which after the explanation given by the author is evidently what Kircher calls Animea Mundi. It says, but the ancient name of which never has yet been explained. It was written Bahemet, which translated into Arabic by the word Kaf. And this is actually going to show you the word Baphomet, where they got that from. It said, it is superfluous to recall here to the memory of the reader the great antiquity and mysterious sense of the idolatrous veneration in which this calf has been continually held. It is superfluous to repeat anything that has been said on the worship of Apis in Egypt, renewed by the Israelites in the worship of the calf, preserved at this monument in the mysterious rites of the Druses. Let us remember only circumstance which shows wonderfully the concordance in relation of the name Bahumet in its translation. Bahumet or Bahumet is related in relation to the history of the Templars to have been one of their secret and mysterious formulas with which they addressed the idol of the calf in their secret assemblies. Different etymological explanations and descriptions of this word have been brought forward, but none surely so satisfactory as this, which proves that the Templars had some acquaintance with the hieroglyphics, probably acquired in Syria. You feel me? So this is a powerful demonstration, family. You know, we going down through there. I got it. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till I get done. Okay, so what I'm finna do, I'm gonna see if I can pull something up for you all, you know, just to keep a drawing here while I open up these laws and I open up the way. So let me do this here. And then we'll let y'all hear that while I go to open this up, open up my conference call. Because I really want to make sure y'all get this information. You see? Okay. All right. We'll go back to this one right here and let y'all get a drawing off of that one right there. I'm going to share that one with y'all. And while I'm sharing that, I'll be open up and then I'm going to come back, you know, and pick up where we left off at. This will keep y'all. All right. So yeah. Oh, we bike family, but that they're basically, even in the explanation of what you just heard, is still giving, a grand drawing on exactly what was going on. And that's what we're going to touch on some more from a different angle. In this particular information that we demonstrating here, family, I'm going to pick back up where we left off at, though. Like I said, you got to hear this stuff. Listen. So let's go to the next page. Remember, this is before Champollion was born. So it says, if therefore the explanation of the hieroglyphics given in this book deserves attention, the account of 4 classes of Egyptian priests, their initiation and sacrifices is no less interesting. In what a curious and new light do the catacombs of Saqqara, containing the mummies of birds, appear by the account of those animals being embalmed at the initiation of the priests, wrapped up in a greater or lesser quantity, of linen, and deposited in pits. How evident does it become that the Judaic law, the firstborn being offered to the Lord on the temple of the threshold, is Egyptian origin. So they're just talking about other people that have come up with certain measures. But they also say, how interesting would it be to ascertain whether any of the 32 inscriptions seen by the author near Baghdad are actually to be found, or whether the shape of the letters of some pieces of poetry found by modern travelers in the neighborhood of the ruins of Babylon bear any resemblance to Chaldean, Nabatean, right, Sabian, or Kurdic. A lot of people don't know when you talk about the Nabin or the Old Nubian, that is also in the essence of dealing with Nabatean. We want you to remember that. When you talk about the Nabatean, a Nabatean language, this is what we call Cushitic language, unbeknownst to many people. So these are Kurdic alphabets and so forth and so on. It get deeper, right? Matter of fact, here it is right here. We'll start at the bottom now. It says, in the bibliographical and encyclopedia work of Haji Khalifa, entitled The Elucidation of the Names of Books and Sciences, we find under the article of philosophy, let me blow that up too so y'all can see it a little better. It says, where the names of the most famous translators are under the caliphs. It states, enumerated the following passage. And Ibn Washi, who is the author of this particular work that we read now, look him up there, show that he was one that was dealing with the glyphs prior to Champollion. It says, was employed in translating from Nabatean, right, into Arabic. So it says, in another encyclopedia work, it says the title of which is The Well-Arranged Pearls of Scientific Instruction. We become acquainted with the titles of some other curious works translated by the author, our author, right? It says, other curious works translated by our author. Under the article is the following passage, and among the oldest books upon this science is Sadrat al-Muntaha, the Tree of Paradise, translated by Ibn Washi from Nabatean. Now, for those who don't know what Sadrat al-Muntaha is, I talk about it all the time, because that's actually the exalted heights where Prophet Muhammad himself was taken according to the Islamic teaching in his night journey. He went to a place called the Lot Tree of the Utmost Bounty. It make reference to it in the Quran. It's called Sadrata Muntaha. And we call Jibril the ancient Egyptian adept, because Jibril came in the form of a man according to the Islamic teaching. They say he was dressed in all white. He was white clad, and he came and he taught the Muslims as a man, a literal man. So even in that ain't strange, because they tell you in the Bible, angels take on the form of men. That's why we don't deal with spookism. So every angel that came, he wasn't no being flying around with no buttermilk complexion, looking like no baby. These are literal, full-blown, grown human beings. You see, when we talking about angels, it's just another station. Ain't no different than using the term like general and all these other measures. But we teach that these angels were God sent, were God himself manifested in the form as well. According to Abraham book, in the Piscean, they say he ate a meal with Abraham, the supreme being, the most high, Yahweh. the Elohim. They all came there. So anyway, Sadrata Muntaha represent the seventh heaven, the lote tree of the utmost bounty. Those who are deep into esoteric, and spiritual philosophy know that this represents the crown of one's consciousness. But we ain't gonna get into that right now. But nevertheless, Ibn Washi was said to have this particular book, and bring it forth, called Sadrata Muntaha. And I'm gonna be looking for that one right there, digging in the archives for that one there, if they have it in English. So it says, in the same work under the head of natural magic, which they distinguish from the supernatural magic, we are told that natural magic is divided into two branches. The first treating of knowledge of particular properties of plants and metals and animals, and the second of composition is construction of artificial machines. It says, after which the author says, among the books were written the first branch, that is entitled Tafnat. It says, that is petrifications, translated from the Nabatean, again by Ibn Washi. And finally, under the head of the science of agriculture, as the most classical of all books, it says the agriculture of the Nabateans, a translation of Ibn Washi. So Ibn Washi basically translated a lot of the works of the Nabatean Cushites into the Arabic language, basically. You see? And it says a copy of this work, if I'm not mistaken, to be found in Bodleian Library at Oxford. See Herbolet, it says under the word Folahat. So a lot of this stuff that Ibn Washi was dealing with, he was dealing with straight science. He was dealing with scientific literacy. Also when they say magic in ancient Kemet, they didn't use the word magic. They say Heka. You see, words of power. But that's a whole nother measure. Let me see if any of our family may be expressing something here. Okay, they just listening right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop this link right here, just in case somebody want to come in on this conversation. Let me see. Just in case somebody want to come in here and build on this. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till we really get into the nitty-gritty of this demonstration. And honors to the family that's tuned in, the ones that have announced themselves and the ones that have not announced themselves. Because these other cats, they ain't going to teach y'all this. I'm going to give it to you. I ain't never heard nothing from my people. Watch this. So, this is Ibn Washi's measure. But it goes on, right? And they tell you, they say, the author's preface, praise be to God and health to his servants who have pure hearts. Amen. My object is to collect the rudiments of alphabets used by ancient nations, doctors, and learned philosophers in their books of science for the use of the curious and studious who apply themselves to philosophical and mystic sciences. Each alphabet is represented in its old shape and form, the original name of it recorded, and the power of the characters written underneath with red ink. It says Arabic letters to the end that they may be better distinguished. It says, I have arranged the work in chapters and entitled it The Long Desired Knowledge of Occult Alphabets Attained with the Aid of God, right? So it goes on, an explanation of ancient alphabets and hieroglyphics, right? This is the other expression. Again, they finna go through various different groups of alphabets and what they mean and all that right there. So people that's interested in alphabetical language, and alphabets and the way they used and the real meaning, get ready. Put your seatbelt on. Let me blow this up. It says the three usual Oriental or Eastern alphabets, the Kufic, Maghribian, and Indian. You see, this is basically Kufic, deals with really, the Arabic script that they modernly use, but Mudar is actually older than that. Mudar is right there linked with the Kemetic language. Maghribian deals with the language of the people of Mauritania, basically, the Mari people. And then you have the Hinduist Kushites, who have their expression like the Harapian, A lot of these things are very close to each other. All you got to do is look up the Hieroglyphic language and then go into, the Maghreb, and you'll see that Punic and the Hieroglyphic language is right the same. And a lot of them correspond with the Cushitic language that we call, Sumerian and all of that. But that's a whole nother measure. It says, Section 1, the Kufic alphabet. Our Lord Ishmael, peace be with him. It says, was the first who spoke Arabic. Now remember, Ishmael's mother was Egyptian according to the Piscean records. For those who don't believe Ishmael exists, that he existed, and they say he didn't exist, I'm going with our beloved brother Renoka Rashidi, who actually has, if you go look at his thesis that he demonstrated on Islam, he showed an actual image of Ishmael carved in stone. So that is enough for me. So we ain't got to go back and forth and argue on that. Honest to the brother Renoka Rashidi, and may he continue to rise in power as he had united with the ancestors recently, not long ago. So anyway, it says, so Ishmael's mother, we already know if she was Egyptian and Abraham was Cushitic, that should tell you who he was. So when people go to saying, well, them Arabs was the Arabs, well, who was the original Arabs? Since y'all want to be so racist against the Arabs being Arabs and say to man, who was the original people that inhabited Saudi Arabia before these modern day pale skinned Arabs that got there? Since you know so much. So it says in a whole, right? And who wrote the Kufic, of which 9 different sorts were used. The ground of all of them is the Kufic alphabet, known by the name of Suri. It says the Arabic text, it says beginning from the right. Then it says Maghribian or Western or Andalusian alphabet, which is the alphabet of the Moors. I actually have copies of that alphabet too. I showed it to our family in some measures we brought on the manifest. And they're really talking about, just another dialect of, again, those languages. So here's another section they mentioned in section 3, the Indian alphabet of 3 different sorts. And he have it on all the pages in this particular document. So if y'all want to go and study and go deeper, I'm just dealing with the Kemetic aspect right now, but I'm showing you in this index, it's showing you that all of this stuff is in this text. That way you want to know where's the source, it's right here. This existed in the 1809. So if they tell y'all I invented this and y'all go for that, or I made this stuff up, y'all go for that. That's on y'all. I wasn't even thought about. My dad and my mama wasn't even born. And my grandmama wasn't even born, at the time this demonstration come on the manifest. You see, so anyway, it says chapter 2 deals with the 7 most celebrated old alphabets, the Syrian alphabet. This is very important too, because a lot of people don't know even the Syrian alphabet is really a Kemetic alphabet. I showed that to y'all too in the last video I demonstrated. But then it says the old Nabatean alphabet, right? We already gonna show you that too in a minute. We'll get into that in a minute. And then you have the Hebrew alphabet and the Barabian alphabet, the Lacumian alphabet, and Musnad, which is the Himyaritic alphabet. For those of you who don't know what Himyaritic is 1 and 1 with the language that you call Giz in Ethiopia. So all of these languages relate to what a lot of people in the modern time like to call Afro-Asiatic languages. They have been taking some of them to be Semitic, but in essence, a lot of them come from Afro-Cushitic, essence and origin and so forth and so on. So it speaks on the section also of the Greek alphabet, commonly called the alphabet of the philosophers. And they running all this in the line. Now, if Himyaritic deal with Cushitic, this what they call in Greek alphabet, again, is nothing more than the Hecopta. Because Coptic is the true aspect of what they call in Greek now. The alphabet of Clemenes, the alphabet of Plato, the alphabet of Pythagoras, the alphabet of Scalenius, the alphabet of Socrates, the alphabet of Aristotle. Many of you probably didn't know each one of these different people had their own version of an alphabet. You'd probably be mixing them up. So it goes on to tell you about other alphabets. That's all this is. This is just the index, telling you about various different other alphabets. You see? But my measure, what I want to go into is the aspects that deal with the Hermes, the documents that deal with Hermes, Tehuti, Athat. So it says the alphabet of Hermes, Abatat, right? And it says the philosopher, he wrote on the noble art of the philosophical secrets. He constructed in Upper Egypt treasure chambers and set up stones containing magic inscriptions, which he locked and guarded by the charm of this planet, extracted from the regions of darkness. Then it speaks on the alphabet of the Kofa Horteris philosopher. That's a whole nother measure going into the Kabbalistic realm. And see, a lot of this stuff right here that I'm giving to you right now, this is stuff that people hide and consider information that ain't meant to be taught to the public and all that old other foolishness. You know what I mean? I'm giving it to you in the open. That's why you ain't never heard, and that's what make it hard to believe, because you never heard none of this stuff before, because they've been keeping it secret. That's why Noble Drew Ali even said with the Moorish Holy Quran, these lessons have been kept back, and now they have been loosened and given to the people. So that's the duty of us here in the Moorish paradigm. And adept, Egyptian adept, is a revealer of the light. A hierophant is one who reveals the light. So if you want to know why that special measure was given to me, it was given to me by my chairman. I didn't just start calling myself Commission Adept Hierophant. That was conferred upon me. That degree and title was conferred upon me by my Grand National Chairman, Commission Adept Hierophant. You see, that's what he called me. You see, I didn't come up with this or make this up. Y'all think it's a game, don't you? Hold on real quick. I'm going to show you what I'm trying to say. I'm going to show you when he first did it. He did it publicly. This was in Baltimore, family. I'm going to show you when he conferred this special measure. Just give me 1 second here. I can get to it better here. I want to give honors to our Grand Mufti for recording all of this information as well. I didn't claim to be a Commission Adept. Like I said, that was conferred upon me by my chairman. You know what I mean? That wasn't something I just came up with all of a sudden. And this was at a conference we talked about this. This was the meeting we had, right? So we out here really doing the work. We don't just be talking. Yeah, so when I be telling y'all we working for real, we don't be just talking, family. We out here really working. Yeah, go right here after I spoke. He publicly conferred that as special. So I ain't got to keep going on. That's online. You see, I come as a man of no reputation. Y'all just know me as Commission Adept Hereford. I never tell you, exactly the work that I'm doing and so forth and so on. You see? Okay, you said it was no sound? Okay, let me go back. My bad, brothers. I don't know why that thing do that. Seem like if it sit a long time for some reason, it don't give us the sound. I don't know if that's cause of, or either that or it's my tab is being taken off. So I'm gonna run it back again so you can hear it, real quick, par and self. And thank you, family, for giving me that notification. I have a real issue with that a lot of times. Yeah, we'll put it back right here because it ain't really long. He don't really. Okay. But we want y'all to hear, this measure, because a lot of people think I'm just on the YouTube. I've been doing this on the YouTube, and we YouTube scholarship. We've been doing it way before the YouTube. And we really out here, like I say, we aiding and assisting, and we helping our people. So.
It's long. It's long. Now you know why that's assistant editor-in-chief. Right? It's always a joy, especially when we have a class, because they have their own class on Saturdays on a national conference call. They call the Morse Perspectives, and it's always a powerful class. And also, it's good to know, because our prophet, when you hear me speak about Egypt or Kemet, if you will, you oftentimes, because I let you know the line of prophets always, they're in there, and all of them got to go to Egypt. So one of the specialties that Shahi has is that he's specialized as a committee and adept master.
That's right.
And this is what our prophet became. So in our teachers here at the Morris American government level, a lot of more don't realize how honored we are and blessed we are to have Shaheed there with these teachings, because it causes for a higher level of interpreting the law.
That's right.
A much higher level. So if you wonder what distinguishes the Morris American government or the citizens from other Morris Americans or those that members or whatever the case may be, that's what it is. It's your interpretation of the committee and studies, the same thing that Noble Drew Ali had to go through. Because he said, he wants you to walk in his footsteps. Everything that he did, he wants you to do. And you, for those of you who may not have it, we've got what is called the 7 adept degrees that Noble Drew Ali had to pass in going through Kemet when he was there in Egypt. For the time, age of 16, for 10 years that he was there. Okay, so we got those lessons available for you, so you'll know. And once you learn what the prophet had to go through, then you can see yourself. Okay, so that's another reason why we have those lessons available to you. So with this in mind, before we call on the great one.
So yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that, and you see that my chairman, he made reference to the 7 adept degrees that the prophet went through. He was actually made an adept by R. German Bey, whom we call the Prince of Peace. R. German Bey was taught directly by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He was made an adept by Noble Drew Ali. R. German Bey was called by Prophet Noble Drew Ali the Prince of Peace. You see, he was called the Prince of Peace. R. German Bey was. For those of you who don't know who R. German Bey was, I'm going to show you a picture of R. German Bey. Matter of fact, I'm going to just share my screen and then I'll put it in here. Because a lot of them are here, even though a lot of our people don't know. Let's see. This was my chairman's teacher. And he was a real adept, family. This is some of the pictures of him in old age. That's R. German Bey right there. Sitting at the table with all the Moors around him. You see? And I actually have another picture right here when the chairman was in his youth. I'm going to show you some more. They'll let me probably go deeper into it here, though, if I go to my Facebook. Because for some reason, It's a lot of history on this brother, man. This brother was teaching polarity therapy, how to heal the body. If you see the pictures of Noble Drew Ali, for example, right here, this picture where Noble Drew Ali is sitting in the chair in this Cushitic garb, this is the Cushites right here with the feather in their head. Oh, it done went to my chairman again. Give me 1 second. But if you look at this particular drawing here, like I said, these colors that you see that Noble Drew Ali have it on, it was the chairman who was the one that first made this photo a colored photo, family. Before that, they was all black and white. These photos were black and white. And so the chairman, put the color in it. But he got the color scheme, the know of it from R. German Bay. R. German Bay told him, I don't know why I keep moving. I think it's just part of the thing. But he told him these colors that the prophet have on. And so when the chairman went and made that photo, he had that photo made according to the way R. German Bay told him the colors were. So any Moorish American, no matter who they is, that dealing with those pictures, that picture was created by my Grand National Chairman. He's been teaching Moorish science for over 40 years. A real adept that come through the line of the adept. Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't make but a few of them, like about 5 of them to be exact. And the chairman was taught by all of them. He wasn't just taught by R. German Bay. He was taught by the wives of Noble Drew Ali, and he was also taught by the I. Cook Bay brother and G. Cook Bay as well. This is actually, I'm going to show you another picture of R. German. That's R. German Bay right there in the corner right there. He was taught directly by Noble Drew Ali. He was an adept made directly, and my chairman was made an adept by R. German Bay. And the chairman made us all adepts, not by taking us in the building or going through initiation, but telling us our adept chamber is above our neck. You don't have to go through no rite ceremonies and form. All that's just ritual, But he initiated us and gave us the title Swift Angels, because he was called by R. German Bay Swift Angel #1, just like the prophet called R. German Bay the Prince of Peace. So the degree of Prince of Peace was conferred upon him because of the work that he was called to do. And the chairman, was called Swift Angel #1 by R. German Bay. And the chairman made all of us, everybody that's a divine minister in the Moorish American government, we are all Swift Angels. I'm Swift Angel #4. That's my Swift Angel number. You see, all of us have Swift Angel numbers. But he conferred, as you've seen in the video, the Commission Adept. Before that, I was going by my regular name, Shahid Shabazz El, Mohadi Shabazz El. That's what my name on social media was. That's what then the comedian degree of it, Shedu Aminti El Muhajjid Shepsuel. So when he conferred that measure on me, that's when I changed it to this. I never announced myself as that in social media, though. I would tell people that I'm Shahid Shabazz El. But they begin to call me that because obviously that's what they see in the thing. But I never intended for that to be such. That was the will of the ancestors and the will of the Most High. So everybody just called me Commission Adept Hierophant. Like the chairman called me Commission Adept Master. Now, what does a Hierophant do? Because I spelled Hierophant different. I spelled Hierophant different from the way it's spelled. I said Hierophant. I put Heru there, and it tells you in the Greek way. That's why I spelled it Heruphant. Hierophant. You see? But Hierophant is a priest. And they say in ancient Greece, specifically a chief priest of the Eleusinian mysteries, right? A person who explains or expositor. One who defends or maintains a call, right? A cause, a purposeful advocate, right? But then when you go into the root of this special demonstration, it gets deeper. A Hierophant is one who reveals mysteries. And that's a name that most secret societies like to use, but a hierophant is not one that keeps secret. A hierophant is one who reveals secrets. That's the difference between a hierophant and a mason. And Prophet Noble Ali was the Egyptian adept hierophant. So a hierophant is a person who brings religious congregants into the presence of that which is deemed holy. So rather than talking about God, a hierophant gonna take you into the presence of God in what they teach. See, a hierophant is an interpreter of sacred mysteries and arcane principles. And that's why the chairman say, I specialize in the interpretation of the ancient Egyptian teachings, the ancient Comedian teachings. I didn't claim that for myself. That's what he said of me. I was just doing the work at the time. You understand? So people that think I claim to be this and I claim to be that, no. I was doing the work. It was conferred upon me, and I came into a better understanding of what it is that I am supposed to be doing. You see, even when you get into the concept of what they call the Tariot concept of the guide, when they deal with the card in the Tariot, they tell you that the hierophant is the card and traditional values and institution. The hierophant can represent a counselor, a mentor who will provide you with wisdom and guidance, or a spiritual or religious advisor, such as a priest, a vicar, a preacher, an imam, rabbi, a monk. All of these are considered hierophants. Alternatively, you may be dealing with someone who is very set in their ways. The institutions of the hierophant tarot card can include the economic, religious, political, social, family, educational, social welfare, medical, and I demonstrate on all them levels. Its appearance can signify that now is a time to conform to convention or tradition. It's not a time to rock the boat. It can also be an indicator that you would take part in some sort of traditional ceremony, or that you may start creating some new traditions or rituals of your own. That's what hierophants do. They open up the way to make it easier for the ones that's coming behind them by teaching the people how to be that. Let's go into the etymology. So when people tell you who Commission is, you know exactly what we demonstrate and not what somebody think, we talking about. See this right here? 17th century Hierophantes, from heros, sacred. Phanian, which means to show or reveal. And that's why I keep telling you that a hierophant is a revealer of the light. A hierophant is not somebody that's concealing the truth. So what I'm bringing to you, a lot of people that are concealers of the light, that have taken Masonic oaths, they study this stuff behind closed doors, and they don't want me telling you this. And so they want you to believe. They'll tell you or try to make you think I'm pseudo. That dude crazy, because they feel like I'm giving up too much, family. I ain't took no oath, though, to no man. So I ain't got to get out here and be careful about what I speak on. I can say what I want to say. You see what I'm saying? They can't do that, so they jealous. Because if I speak on these type of things in them lodges that they're a part of, they'll get in trouble for engaging in these conversations. So they have to be silent when I'm speaking this stuff that I'm talking about. This is what got G.M. James killed, because he had took one of those oaths. But he defied all of that, and that elder went out there and wrote Stolen Legacy and gave up that truth, because he loved his people so much. He loved them more than he loved that oath in that organization. And that's why he disappeared. They took him, his body went missing out of the hospital. They even said it in detail. The brother heart was cut out, his throat was cut. The Masonic death, family, he died for revealing that to our people, telling you that the Moors were the custodians of the teaching. You don't supposed to teach that openly if you're a Mason, teaching that we the original African God, man. And if it's some in here listening to me right now, they'll go right against what I'm saying, because that's what they're supposed to do. So a hierophant is an expounder of sacred mysteries. 1670s, from the Latin hierophantes, again, one who teaches the rites of sacrifice and worship, literally one who shows sacred things. You see? It says, forming words denoting passion, herefin, to reveal, to bring to light, to shine. In modern use, expounder of esoteric doctrines. So when you understand that, then you understand why I teach the way I teach. Because I'm here to reveal the light, not conceal the light. This is also why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, I came to take the cover off of all secret organizations. Because he was not a concealer. He was a revealer of the light, family. Once you understand that, then you understand exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you one more thing before I get back into this document, so y'all see exactly where we coming from. It's a method behind everything we demonstrating that y'all consider madness. We have a methodology in the way we teach this science. We ain't just spewing stuff out our mouth and out the side of our neck just to be doing it. It's a reason why we teach the way we teach, and we teach what we teach. See, when you come here in the education of Mary and Elizabeth, if you know anything, they were actually being taught in zone, meaning Elizabeth and Mary, once they had went into Egypt, according to the Piscean records in the Bible, they was took into Egypt at the age of 12. Yehoshua was, Jesus was, John was there, Mary was there, Elizabeth was there, and they were both being taught in Egypt in zone. They were all being taught there. And listen to what they said to him. Manetho or Matheno was the master teacher. He was the hierophant that was teaching them in Kemet. But watch what it says. It said Elihu and Salome sent messengers in haste to find Elizabeth and John. And they found them and brought them to Zoan. That's Egypt. On Heliopolis, family. That's what they call it. It says, now Mary, or Inu is what they call it in the Kemetic language. It says, now Mary, or Anu. It said Mary and Elizabeth were marveling much because of their deliverance. And Elihu, which is actually the same attribute my chairman shakes in his original name, Elihu Pleasant Bay, which is Per Imheru Tutankhamen Bay in his Egyptian higher name. But it says, it's not strange. There are no happenings. Law governs all events. From olden times, it was ordained that you should be with us in this sacred school and be taught. Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out to the sacred grove nearby where they were wont to teach. And Elihu said to Mary and Elizabeth, you may consider or esteem yourself, so to speak, thrice blessed. Remember we talk about thrice blessed or 3 times blessed Hermes? That's where that term thrice blessed come from, Hermes Trismegistus, that we was just reading about in the other document. It says, for you are chosen mothers of long promised sons, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone on which the temple of perfected man, a perfect man, shall rest, a temple that should never be destroyed. We're not talking about a physical temple. We're talking about the temple of man, temple of self-mastery, the real living pyramid of Giza, the real great pyramid. You. It says we measure time by cycle ages. And the gate to every age we deem a milestone in the journey of the race. And that's why we measure time by cycle ages. We don't get caught up into no Gregorian calendar. It says an age is past and the gate unto another age flies open at the touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah in man. So we teach God in man. We don't teach or spook Allah outside of the self. It says, and these your sons will be the first to tell the news. Because Emmanuel means God with us. God is with us, not because he's somewhere spooky out there floating around. God is with us because God is within us. That's why we can't be no atheists unless we disbelieve in ourselves. So it says, and teach the gospel of goodwill to men and peace on earth. A mighty work is theirs. For carnal men want not the light. They love the dark, like some of our people. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. Just like some of the people that can't comprehend what I've been telling them about this language and about Kemet. They love the dark. They love to be up on the Eurocentric scholarship. Say, we call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can reveal the light. And he told them, he said, you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. That's what a woman, a God woman, your wife, your moon that's reflecting the light of you being the sun is supposed to cast on the seed, which represent the stars. If you have taught her properly, she teach the seeds properly. That's why in the Quran, the Grand Quran of Muhammad, it states, rever the womb which bore you. Your mother is your first teacher. You see what I'm saying? So it says, teach them that Allah and man are one. You and God are one and the same. But through carnal thoughts, words, and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. Teach the holy breath will make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. You see? But it goes on, family. You know, this is special drawing. The main thing is that, you know, these sons were taught in the sacred groves of Heliopolis, you know, in Egypt, Kemet, and they were taught to be revealers of the light. That's why a heretic cannot be one who conceals the light. And again, that's why Noble Drew Ali said, I came to take the covers off of all secret societies. By him saying that, that lets you know that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was not a Mason. He also said that Masons and Christian preachers was going to fight him tooth and nail. He said they're going to fight him tooth and nail, family, but they cannot win. You see? So if Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a Mason, he wouldn't have made them statements, family. So stop letting these people tell y'all lies. You understand? I'm telling you what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said out his own mouth. You see, I ain't telling you what somebody said about what they read about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm telling you his oral statements. And if the Moors ain't did nothing else, they definitely did a good job on preserving, you know, what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. So now you know what a heretic is. Now you understand why I'm a lot different than these other individuals, because they're trying to keep you asleep. I'm trying to wake you up. So let me go back over here to this demonstration here, because it's going to get good. I said I wasn't going to be long, but, you know, some of these things warrant a little more information on them, family. So anyway, it goes on speaking here. It's talking about the Dravidian alphabet, the Marcotes alphabet, and then it goes into the Coptic or the Egyptian philosophers, you know, and this ain't in no particular chronological order. They're just giving up the alphabets by different peoples. In this, they noted their calculations, indications, and wrote of inscriptions and the treasures and the secrets of divinity. You know, they also spoke of Coptrium, which is one of Noah's descendants, invented this alphabet. So they're saying that the Coptic was invented by a descendant of Noah, if you deal with the biblical narrative. You see? So let us go on. And that makes sense, though, because we know under the Noahide covenant, the Hamites, according to the text, would come under that. They don't come up on the Israelite covenant, but they under the Noahide covenant, which is a perpetual covenant according to the Bible. So again, they gave in this chapter 5 is going to be dealing with alphabets of the 7 planets. Yes, the planets have an alphabetic system relating to them: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, you know, all the way down to Venus and Mercury. You know, then they have the alphabets of the 12 constellations, you know, the alphabet of Aries, the alphabet of Taurus, all the way to Gemini. They're all alphabets, family. And they feature these things in this book. These are the things that they're teaching you. So this is what we get into the nitty gritty right here, the good part. You know, they also talk about the Egyptian philosophers dealing with the zodiac, which we call Dendera. In chapter 7, it says alphabet of the ancient kings, the kings of Syria, also the Hermesian kings of Egypt, the pharaohs, the Canaanites, the Kurds, the Castilians, and it states Castilians, pardon self, and the Persians and the Copts. You see, and we know Copts is dealing with the Coptic people, which is also descended from Kemet. So all of them got the same blood and admixture in some of them. So it goes into the alphabet of the king Berdios, the Syrian. This alphabet, he wrote all of his books on the minute of divinity and natural law. Then it says the alphabet of the king Resut. That's another way of speaking of the people of Kemet. They talk about the Resinu, what they call the Remet. These are basically the people of Kemet, the alphabet of the Egyptian pharaoh. He constructed wonderful talismans and magical alarm posts, all of them in this ancient alphabet, right? It says the alphabet of King Chemus, which is a way of saying Kemet, right? Chemus. It says the Hermesian. And this is going back again, another name for Thot, Tehuti. He wrote 200 books on astronomy and on the secrets of physics and on the qualities of plants and minerals, or what we were dealing with again along the lines of, the elements of a periodical table. But it says the alphabet of King Mehararish as well. He was a famous soothsayer, deeply experienced with the philosophy of divinity. He wrote more than 1,000 books on other sciences. And they give a whole bunch of other different individuals. And they keep going back to the Egyptian pharaohs. There was a lot of pharaonic people who had their own alphabets. So a lot of people don't know who alphabet is what alphabet. And there are alphabet systems in Egypt that a lot of our people don't even know exist. I have mentioned some of them and pointed them out. But in this particular book, they go deep into it. You see, they call this brother here the alphabet of King Berhimos, which is the Egyptian. This is one of the oldest alphabets used by the magicians and pharaohs of Egypt. It was transferred from these to the soothsayers of India and China. See, this right here getting down to the nitty gritty, showing you where all this stuff right here was being distributed to. And I talk about this all the time, right? So again, then it goes on again and still telling you about Kemet. And I'm just skipping through the document so I can get to the other stuff. But it's very important that I mention these things. The alphabet of Khoptrim, which is dealing with the one they say descended through the line of Noah. It says the Egyptian. He was a great master in the art of constructing talismans and admirable alarm posts, treasure spells, and wonderful images. He wrote an encyclopedia of all sciences in this alphabet. So it says the alphabets in 8 called Hermesian, of the disciples of Hermes. Again, think of Tehuti, think of Thot when you hear this term Hermes, and it'll give you a better understanding of what's followed in this information. Or the first dynasty of the kings in Egypt, as we find them in the writings of the ancients. Every one of these kings invented, listen, according to his own genius in understanding a particular alphabet. In order, it says that none should know them but the sons of wisdom. So their way of revealing their alphabet, they wrote it in a way that nobody can understand and comprehend this but sons of wisdom. It says, few therefore are, let me blow this up. Few therefore, it says, are found who understand them in our time. They took the figures of different instruments. Listen, trees, plants, quadrupeds, birds, or their parts, and of planets and fixed stars. That's why I keep telling you, if you want to understand Medu Neter, you got to read the book of creation. Because creation consists of different tools that we use as instruments of building. The trees and plants and quadrupeds dealing with certain animals with 4 legs, and birds and different parts of the planets and fixed stars. That's called scientific observation. Scientific observation, and this is where your STEM research, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that's where it comes from. So true Medu Neter is reading the book of creation, observing what's going on around you. So it says, in this manner, these hieroglyphical alphabets became innumerable, like the alphabets of the Indians and Chinese. They were not arranged, and this is the key. I've been saying this forever. These different pictures and symbols, they were not arranged at all in the order of our letters, A, B, C, D. But they had proper characters agreed upon by inventors of these alphabets, and which differed in their figure and order. They expressed water by this symbol. They understood the secrets of nature and endeavored to express everything by an appropriate sign. They didn't express it in the language that we speak, in the language we talk it. That's why they call it the language of God. Medu Neter, the language of God, because you got to listen to creation speak to you. You got to listen to the voice of the divinity that's inside of you, speaking to you the meaning behind the sun, the meaning behind the moon, the meaning behind the constellations, the true meaning and science behind everything of life. That don't come through human, talking. That come through some meditation. Prayers when you talk to God. Meditation is when you listen to it. You see? So other followed the simple rules of geometry, deriving one alphabet from another, as the Kufic has been derived of Syrian and Hebrew. So now they're telling you how alphabetical systems come into play. The Hebrew, the Syrian, the Chaldean, the Latin from the Greek, and others from some original. But they letting you know that them pictures wasn't in this type of alphabet. This is before your boy Champollion was born. Now, this document we read from. It says, whosoever wishes to become acquainted with all the nice points of the knowledge of alphabets may inquire of the book entitled Solution of Secrets, a Key of Treasures by Jabir Hayyan Sufi. It says who, and let's see what they did. And now they're getting into showing you certain things. Who enters into all the necessary explanations and details of this art. Our object is only to mention the most celebrated of these alphabets of the Hermesians, or the hieroglyphics, and to indicate their particular qualities, for nobody is capable of giving a satisfactory explanation of them all. So how? It said God directs all things for the best. So how can Champollion, in his fake decipherment, because it ain't got nothing to do with the ancient Egyptians taught, and I'm showing y'all, I showed y'all a whole bunch of sources already saying the same thing, but here's one that's dealing with him. He gonna show you some signs and gonna give you the definition of what these signs represent according to his observation. This is before Champollion. Champollion was in diapers at this time, family. Well, he was a little older than that, but trust me, he was a toddler. It says, second section of the alphabet of the philosopher Hermes the Great. This alphabet is used on obelisks, the pyramids, the inscription tables, stones, and temples, and other old buildings from the time of the first pharaohs. It does not consist in a series of letters. Can I say that again, family? Because y'all think I be making this stuff up. Not the ones that's attentively listening, but the ones that like to say he made that up. But this document was written in 1809, and they saying the same thing Commission saying right now. So I ain't saying nothing new. It does not consist in a series of letters like other alphabets, but in expressions composed according to the arrangement made by Hermes, Tahuti, Thoth, Idris, as the Grand Quran called him, the Great. These expressions consist in innumerable figures and signs which are to lead the mind directly and immediately to the object expressed thereby. There's a sign which signifies the name of God Almighty, simply and alone. If they wish to express one of the particular attributes of God, they added something to the original sign and proceeded in this manner as you will proceed by the alphabet in question. It is divided into three series beside the celestial or supernatural objects. Let us begin with the celestial objects and the figures by which they were expressed in the Hermesian language, represented as we have found them. So they begin to show different things, like, the bird, the hawk, represented God. This expression of the arm with this little box here with the lines represents the Almighty. It ain't represent no letter A and B and C and D. These are actually attributes of the Creator. This looks like more of another expression. We can't really make it out, but it says it means the all clement. Then we have the Avenger. This represents the Avenger. This look like what they would call the letter B in hieroglyphics, or the boot. It represents the all powerful. It ain't strange the young generation call themselves big steppers, huh? That mean they powerful, huh? They hold some weight, right? So that's what that represented then. Then you got the all merciful. which was symbolic to the wings, and the nourisher, So these are all attributes: the destroying, the living, the omniscience, the angel, you know. And they could have did better on the artwork in some of these. The devil, the sky, the star, the planets, the clouds, the light, darkness, the world, the air. And that's a symbol that we use in the Moorish paradigm, dealing with our chart on Islamism. The air, the moon. So they're giving all these different symbols to give an example on how the ancient Egyptians demonstrated with signs and symbols. And some of this stuff is actually alchemical symbols too, and also planetary symbols too. If you ever seen the astrological symbols, like Libra and Virgo, if you ever seen them, they are saying that all of these different symbols, these are the celestial hieroglyphics, as we have been able to find and make out. Now we are going to represent 3 other classes according to the promise, with all different figures of Hermesian, or what they are calling Egyptian hieroglyphics. This is before Champollion was born. So they were demonstrating it the same way I'm demonstrating it now. It's the same way our Moorish Holy Quran tell us Yehoshua demonstrated it. I'm going to show you in a minute. So remember I said that the pyramid represented you? Look at that. This represents the body. That's a pyramid, a symbol of a pyramid. Physical good, they say here. I mean, they got a whole bunch of symbols they given. Life, death, riches, poverty, man, woman. These are representing attributes, family. That's what they represent, attributes. Some of these are actual hieroglyphs, and some of these, are symbols that have to do with either alchemy or astrological symbols. Oblivion, understanding, humility. Hold on, let me blow that up. Will, obedience. Then they have here the serpent as a symbol of cunning. This as a symbol of a violent death, imprisonment, secret, hidden. Man, if you know the language behind this and the astrologics behind this, you know what this is saying. See, like we talk about Moorish science and we talk about Islamism, it's the same symbol we use for Islamism, dealing with the 4 sacred schools of thought, science. See, this is before Prophet Noble Drew Ali was ever born. So we always teach, don't no truth contradict another truth, family. So it goes on. It says, after looking at all of those, it says, this figure is expressive of the most sublime secret called originally Bahumet, Karuf, and they corrupted that into Baphomet, which is a corruption of the name, they say Muhammad in some languages. But it says the secret of nature of the world, or the secret of secrets, or the beginning and return of everything. To speak at length of this figure is more than limits of this book will allow. We refer to the curious who wish for more explanation to a book which we have translated from our Nabatean language into Arabic, entitled The Sun of Suns and the Moon of Moons, illuminating discovery of the Hermesian alphabets or hieroglyphics, where he will be completely satisfied. And it's a brother been asking me about a book talking about the sun, and maybe it's linked to this information right here. I haven't read the book, but he's saying it sounds like I be teaching out of the book of the sun. I don't know what book he talking about, but maybe this the book that he referring to. I ain't never read it before. But he recognizing some truths that I'm saying that's in that book. So it says, the Hermesians let nobody into the secrets of their knowledge but their disciples. Remember I told y'all that this metaphysic knowledge was passed down from the priests to other priests, from the ruler of the Nesut to their sons. They didn't teach this to the public because these dealt with formulas, that had to do with only those who were ruling of having that knowledge, because if everybody had that knowledge, they'll be tearing something up. Like Prophet Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, I can't wake y'all up all at one time because you're going to tear something up. But anyway, so these things was not taught to the public. The Hermesians let nobody into the secrets of their knowledge but their disciples, lest the arts and sciences should be debased by being common amongst the vulgar. So they asked me the question, well, Commission, how is it that you got it if nobody in the priesthood passed it down? Because Noble Drew Ali was initiated by the Egyptian priesthood when he was in Egypt. And he passed this knowledge through his adepts. That's how it come to Commission. You see? So it says, they hid therefore their secrets and treasures from them by the means of this alphabets, and by inscriptions which could be read by nobody except the sons of wisdom and learning. These initiated scholars were divided into 4 classes. The first class comprehended the sect of what they call the Haramissa al-Hawamiyya, which were all descendants of Hermes the Great, Tehuti. They married daughters of their own race only, and never were allowed to have any kind of intercourse with strangers. So you know no Eurocentric Mason will have this knowledge. So it goes on, it says, no man in the world was acquainted with any of their secrets. They alone possessed them. They were the authors of books commonly called the books of Idris. That's the Arabic name for Enoch. Enoch, Tehuti, Hermes, Thoth, all represent the same personage family. They're just different names for this personage throughout the cultures. So when they talking about Enoch in the Bible, Akhnuk, they really talking about Tehuti. When they say Hermes in the Greek, they really talking about Tehuti, Thoth, the god of right. It says they constructed temples dedicated to spirits and buildings and magical wisdom. The few of those who in their time acquainted with this knowledge live retired in some islands near the frontiers of China and continue to tread the steps of their forefathers. So they saying certain people that went into China took this knowledge from Kemet with them. We seen the Asiatic rulers in China that look like, in Kemet look just like the Asiatic people of China. It says the second class of Hermesians called Haramissa, Alapania Waluzia, the sons of the brother of Hermes, was Asclepianos. It says, and they married within their own families only, and far from giving their countrymen any kind of trouble, they became necessary to them in all their business. Difference between them and the former consisted in the use of perfumes allowed to them, and the liberty they enjoyed to see their relations at the entrance of the sun into the several signs of the zodiac. It says at the commencement of each season. And this actually reminds me of the Sabians too. That's who it sounds like. At the Feast of 7 Days, because that's who Prophet Muhammad studied under, the Sabians, who had a whole bunch of knowledge. They were the Cushites with Kemetic knowledge. But it says they never communicated their secrets and hermetic treasures to anybody, but they preserved them from generation to generation till our days. When a child was born to them, the mother took it to the priests of the temple, where the trial of the children used to be made. She laid it down on the threshold of the temple without speaking a word. And the priest then came with a golden cup full of water in his hands, accompanied by 6 other priests. And he said prayers and sprinkled water over the child. If it moved and turned its face toward the threshold, the priest took it by the hand and conducted it to the interior of the temple, where it was a coffin prepared on purpose. It says there they said prayers and performed ceremonies, for an hour. And then the priest covered the face of the child with a silk handkerchief. Right? See, I ain't never taught you all this stuff here. It says, in green one for girls and a red one for the boys. Same colors that we use today in our flag, right? It says, put it in the coffin and shut it up. Right? It says, it took in his hand a stick with 3 heads made of silver and set with jewels and precious stones. The father and the mother relations of the child entered at this moment and performed prayers and hymns and humble devotion. The priest then struck the coffin with his staff thrice, 3 times, and cried out, in the name of thy Lord and God, who created and made thee exist by his wisdom. Speak out the inmost secrets of the events of thy life. Amen. Amen. Forever and ever. And the whole assembly performed 7 adorations, and then stood up, and the child said, health and heaven's blessings to thee. The priest returned his greetings and said, what is thy name? In what consists thy sacrifice? And what means the substance doest thou desire? And what hour has thou been adorned with this noble body and these gracious features? When wert thou born? Art thou to remain here as thy brethren, or art thou merely a traveling guest? I ask thee in the name of God and all vivifying, it states, the unchangeable, the eternal one, without end or beginning, in whose power are that all things visible and invisible, the Lord of heaven and the earth. See, we think this stuff is far-fetched because we don't participate in rites like this now. You know, we just live our lives, so we think it's crazy when we hear that it's actually people do this in priesthood. They take the youngin and the young seed, and they deal with their initiation process from the time that they born. See, we got to get back to that. So it says, the Most High and Supreme Being, and I conjure thee as to answer the promise that as long as thou shalt exist in this world, thou would never reveal our secrets to any stranger. The child promised it in the name of truth, which is written in the table existing from the beginning of things, in the table of fate preserved in heaven. And the child was then told that he was received amongst the number of the wise, and learned the sons of science, or amongst the masters of mechanical arts and works, and they conversed with him on every subject, and they put him different questions and heard his answers, almost like the questionnaires that we have in our Moorish teaching, the 101s. Who made you, Allah? You know, because these are questions for Moorish children. Who is Allah, the Father of the universe? Can we see him? No. Where's the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. You feel me? Same way you have Masons try to demonstrate in their catechisms. The Roman Church try to demonstrate in their catechisms with questions and answers. So it says, a priest standing by noted the answers on the table stone and hung it up in the temple. After this, they called the child and opened the coffin, purified it with fumigations, and performed a sacrifice consisting of a quadruped or a bird. And they burnt the blood it shed and purified the body and wrapped it up in a piece of fine white linen, and 120-fold for a male and 60 for a female. They put it into a pot of earth and deposited it into the pit of sacrifices. All this was performed according to the secret rites known to nobody but themselves. The coffin mentioned was made in the shape, it says, of a little chest. It says, of the length of the child, made of olive wood and adorned with gold and precious stones. If the child happened to afterwards mention this mysterious reception, they rejected it, saying the child cannot be trusted with our secrets and mysteries, for it may betray them. It says, they afterward brought forward some fault on which they grounded their exclusion. It says, if the initiated person had already grown up and wished to withdraw from their order, he was sure to die within 3 days. So, you know, this is some deep stuff right here. You know what I mean? That you get into when you go to talking about this stuff, you know. So, man, for example, it goes on here. It says, the fourth class, known as the denominated Mashawun, are the walkers of the peripatetic philosophers. This made me think about the Meshwes, which were known as the priests of Anu, which were also known as the Libyans, are those custodians, the Moors, who preserved these teachings. That's who that's making me think about, the Mashawun. But anyway, it made me think about the Meshwes, or the Murra, the Moors. So it says, was formed by the strangers who found means to mingle with the children and family of Hermes. They were the first who introduced the worship of the stars and constellations, who forsook the worship of the gods, be his glory. There is no other God but him. It said, which is connected to the Sabian and all that, Sabian worship, Cushites. It says, from thence came their divisions, and everything that has been handed down to us proceeds originally from these two sects. The Ashariki look like Asharakiyun. Come on, stop turning page. And then these are the Eastern and the Mahashawun, which are the peripatetic philosophers part itself. It says, learn, view, O reader, the secrets, mysteries, and treasures of hieroglyphics, not to be found and not to be discovered anywhere else. Formerly, a knowledge of them could not be acquired but by immense pains and expense, by a great number of years and long course of travels, and lo, these treasures are laid open for thy enjoyment. Take possession of them, keep and guard them with the utmost care and secrecy. Profoundly learned philosophers and curious students only have attained this knowledge. Let us now proceed to explain the hieroglyphics promised above. And then they go into more signs and how they represent the palm tree, the herb, different symbols, that have been adopted, throughout different alphabetical systems, and these are all not alphabets in the form of just being an alphabet, but these are actual things and what we would call nouns, people, places, and things. Purification, oiling, purifying, boiling, tying, vegetable, salt, vinegar. There's a sign and symbol that represent many different things, family. And that's why you hear us say in the Moorish teaching, signs and symbols are for conscious mind and men and women of understanding. You see? So they have, this is what Ibn Washi was teaching, during that particular time when he was on the manifest. So, they go on through here. Again, they was talking about down here as well. I have myself seen in the Upper Egypt in inscriptions, tables, and stones engraved with this alphabet. The pharaohs firmly believe in its antiquity, and Nabateans and the Chaldeans continued in the same opinion. The original alphabets from which all other ancient and modern ones have been derived are no more than 3. So they're speaking on the different nations that they say the alphabets come through. But so, I mean, they went in, family. Like I said, this book is from the 1800s. And like I said, when they explain these things, for example, they said a man killed by a violent death was represented by a figure of a man with the head of an owl or a bat, and behind him a scorpion with the character and figure of the devil behind him. It says with these characters. And so all of these represented that if he was poisoned, it was represented with a crab's or a beetle's head, and a glass or a bowl before him. So this is how they're explaining these particular symbols, and not as a cartouche or they read them. They're showing you what they mean in definition. You see what I'm saying? That's how these things were taught on, family. And this whole thing is explaining everything about the hieroglyphs, and what they represented, and I mean, it's powerful. This is what I'm trying to teach, you see, and give y'all. Like, for example, it's speaking on the hieroglyphics here, and it said the hieroglyphic represent day, it says, was under the right foot, and the hieroglyphic represented night was under the left foot. Before the Lord was laid on a high desk, the book of universal nature, whereon a representation and names of the planets and constellations and stations of everything that is found in the highest heaven was painted. There was also an urn filled half with the earth and half with sand, the hieroglyphics of the earth and sand being represented therein. A suspended, ever-burning lamp of dates and olives, and in a vase of emerald. Man, this thing is fire. It's fire, family. This is classical material. See, Commission gonna take you back to the source. And they be talking about why we going back to, so far all this stuff is too old, it's outdated. No, fool. The further you go back into antiquity with the language, you can see what they done changed. And I got sources that go back further than the 1800s. I got sources that go all the way back to the 1500s. Horapollo, which was a priest of Kemet or Egypt, he taught the same thing, that these were symbols that are meant to be symbolic, metaphorical, esoteric. And it was always being taught like this. You see? It said up here when it was speaking on different languages, said many of these letters are not used either in Arabic or Persian. And it's talking about the expression of the symbols there. It says, except by those who have knowledge of this language, they are arranged in a contrary order to that commonly received of the ABC. You see? So, you know, I can go on and on and on, but this is a whole book right here, family, with 223 pages, and we just on 81 right now. You know, and this is all breaking down how hieroglyphics represent formula. You know, they represent different symbols. This is a primary source on this information too, because there's a lot of Arabic in here, you know, that's basically saying the same thing that we read in English. You know, so this was translated, you know, into Arabic, actually from the Nabatean language. You see? Way before Champollion was born. So how can you go against all of this right here for those who've been thinking that I be making this stuff up? I just be talking. Huh? I'm telling you, they cannot do nothing with us when it comes to this information, family. You know, look at that. Huh? A lot of our people ain't never seen this stuff in their life before by these so-called Egyptologists and chematologists. It's the only site that's going to give you this information because they deny it exists. So you know they don't study it. They ain't going to never show this to you because they don't agree with it. I want you to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So if all this was on the manifest prior to Champollion, who is to say that these people were wrong in what they saying? When all others agreed to the same thing that they saying. Ask yourself that question. That's the end of the book, family. Ask yourself that question. That's what I want to know. I told you they can't do nothing with us with this information. Uh-oh. Let me go back. I hate when that happens. And that actually went out on me too. I don't even be stopping the screen share. That's crazy. I want to do wrong be doing that to me. Because I'm starting to think something else is up now. But anyway, you heard me reading it. But I'm going to show you what I was showing you up here in the symbols. Because you know that you didn't really miss anything. You heard everything you needed to hear. But I'm going to show you where I was. I'm going to go back to that document. Thank you, family, for letting me know too. Here it is here. Thank you for being patient too, family. It take a lot sometime to reveal this stuff to our family. Because I got a whole bunch of tabs open up here too. I don't know if that's causing my screen to drop or what. But this is it right here. And I'm going to go back up to everything that I was reading was coming out of this book, which I showed it to y'all in the beginning. I do believe y'all was able to see that. I'm going to show you the front page of it again so y'all can look it up. You can find these old books in Google Books. Explanation of the ancient alphabets and hieroglyphics. See, explain. And this is actually by Ibn Washi. In the English, Joseph Hammer, you know, was the secretary to the Imperial Legation in Constantinople. You know, that's who did this. 1806 right here, you see? So what I was showing when I was speaking on them different symbols, is like I said, you know, you heard the information as I was reading it, you know, dealing with all of this information. So nothing wrong with that. You didn't lose nothing. It was just pictures in here that I was trying to show you, dealing with these actual symbols that they were referring to. So when I was making reference to the symbols and saying that they represented attributes, see, when it was speaking here, talking about the Hermesian language here representing, and it said it represented God, the Almighty, the Clement. So all of these different symbols in here represent signs of not only the zodiac in the universe and different expressions in creation, but they also represent divine attributes. See, like all the definitions they give to them, they represent herbs, elements in creation, the planets, all of that. So that's what they saying that these, the symbolization of different glyphs and symbols represent. And that's how the ancient Egyptians taught it, basically. You see? So this whole book goes through a variety of glyphs. Some of them you familiar with by seeing them in Kemet, and some of them just others. This is the one I was demonstrating earlier when they was talking about if one was poisoned, they were saying it would be depicted this way. Not where you reading this out, but this basically would show that one was poisoned. That if, one was showing, different aspects of death, they would show that right there. So this whole book here, and this is what I was going through as I was talking. I didn't really do no reading in here. I was just showing that this is actually the Arabic version that was translated from the Nabathene version by Ibn Washi. And so he got the same thing here in the Arabic, basically, that we just seen in the English. And then the English was translated by that one you just seen on the English in Constantinople. That brought it in there. But this is the original source material in this document. And so it's like 223 pages, in here dealing with these same signs and symbols and everything it is we expressed to you already. But like I say, why haven't they showed you this? If they are serious Egyptologists, they should be studying everything that was said or spoken about in relation to dealing with Kemet. You feel me? And this is going page by page. Like I said, just saying the same thing that was already being said and showing various different signs. Like they already showed many of these different signs. When you exhaust them, you can see how alphabets was made from different signs and symbols, later on as far as dealing with these types of writings. But those pictures have always dealt with celestial, astronomical, astrophysical, attributes of the creator, the Neteru and their actions, and so forth and so on. So again, once again, we done proved, this took place before Champollion was born. We done proved, that the people dealt with these things metaphysically. These things were not taught to the common masses. You see? So when I was reading about the baby, when the priest took the baby before the temple and all of that right there, and that they wouldn't teach these things to people outside of their family, all that was coming from this particular area here. They tell you that they didn't teach this stuff to everybody. You see? So like, man, we ain't playing with the people. Yeah, we ain't playing with the people. They married, again, right here. This is what they said. They married within their own families, and they didn't teach this stuff to nobody outside of them. They kept these things to themselves as secrets, so it said here. You see? That's real talk. See it right here? The Hermesians let nobody into the secrets of their knowledge but their disciples. Least the arts and sciences should be debased by being common amongst the vulgar. So they say they wouldn't cast pearls before the swine, basically. They hid, therefore, their secrets and treasures from them by means of this alphabet and by inscriptions which could be read by nobody except the sons of wisdom and learning. These initiated scholars were divided into 4 classes, and we just ran that down, so we ain't got to run it down again. We just showing you, what was being stated right there. You see? So, yeah, we just trying to bring it to them, family. We done gave them all the evidence that they need. Like I said, Medu Netta in the title is Debunking the Myth of Hieroglyphic Decipherment. How you gonna decipher something that was never meant to be deciphered in the first place when it comes to dealing with alphabetical language? You can create all you want to, letters on the side and try to say that's what it means, but that's still not giving you the chemistry. That's still not giving you the metaphysics. That's still not giving you the formula, the mathematics. And so they don't realize when they go to saying that this symbol is a letter A, this symbol is a letter B, they putting the alphabet out there, creating it, and then putting these pictures in a box. So now you begin to look at them as a letter B and a C. You ain't thinking about, well, what is the alchemical nature of this? What is the mathematical properties? What is the true metaphysical meaning by which I can heal myself and cure, myself from illness? See, we ain't looking at it like that. Ain't no letter A, B, and all that right there, knowing that and trying to, and they didn't even speak hieroglyphic. They didn't speak pictures. Medu, and Kemet, or hieratic was their tongue that they spoke. That was the tongue of the spoken language. The pictures always dealt with being able to tap into creation and listen to God speak to you. That's why they call Medu Netta the language of God. Medu Netta is the language of God. Hieratic, Demotic, and Coptic, that comes in the realm of the language of man. Once you're able to make that distinction and you can understand that, can't nobody deceive you on this information. And then once you start studying these symbols, now you learn to have a better reverence for creation. You learn to honor creation more. You see what I'm saying? Man, that's powerful, family. What I'm going to do, I'm going to let this run real quick. I got to run out here and grab something just for a few seconds. And I'm going to let y'all hear this because I did another measure where I was debunking the Rosetta Stone, which run right in line with this information here. And I'm going to let it play a little bit more. Let me make sure my little audio on. Okay, I see the audio didn't go on when I shared the screen. That might be what's been happening to me too. Thinking that I actually was sharing the screen and wasn't. Okay, so here it is right here. But this work too, I want to go back so y'all will have this. You can go and get these things and go side by side with them. But this is dealing with symbolism. 1903 is when it was published. And then you have, they had the author on here. Looked like they actually going to the one who, they just looking at the those who published it in their lodge. It should have had it on there. But just know it's a comparison of Egyptian symbols, with those of, the Hebrew alphabet, and this was their comparison, right? This is what they was doing in their own research. They did basically what your boy did, Champollion did. You see? So let me drop this link in here again. So I want to cover this before I go into what I'm saying about Champollion, so y'all will know when I say that it was originally metaphysics being demonstrated, you see it. And it's more than these books. You see, it's more than these books. These are, the particular books, that we have on the manifest now just to show you, but that's what it is. Go in them. All these ancient books can be found mostly at Google Books, family. Google Books. If you go to Google Books and you look for this stuff, that's how I find a lot of it. You see what I'm saying? So now what I'm going to do, let me go and get into the real aspects of what it is I'm demonstrating. I'm actually go to my PowerPoint that like I said, I was supposed to bring forth, on SARS demonstration. Let me see here. Okay, so, and I tell our people all the time, this is what you got to remember. The process by which Champollion them demonstrated was reverse engineered. And for those who don't know what reverse engineering is, it's something that's a crime right now. It's a different form of plagiarism, basically. But you take something, you find out how it worked, and then you recreate it in your own way. It's like taking a Nike shoe and then taking the swoosh off of it and turning it upside down. and selling the same shoe, but the swoosh on it is upside down. That's reverse engineering. That's an example. But it means to disassemble and examine and analyze in detail a product or device to discover the concepts involved in manufacture, usually in order to produce something similar. Yes, sir. So that's basically what's going on, family. That's exactly what happened with the Romans. They done reverse engineered, the language by making them into a picture, and then the people are wanting in true definition of what's really there. So, family, ain't nobody else out here teaching. You hear our brother Walter Williams saying that the Medu Neter has never been deciphered. And we give honors to the elder. That's why I got on there one time and I went to spanking Reggie. And I told Walter Williams, I say, brother, I'm your successor. You know what I mean? I'm the one here doing the work, and I'm gonna keep spanking these ones. So why he simply showed Reggie, that the word hieroglyphic mean non-decipherable, meaning it can't be deciphered, and shut Reggie up on Sarnetta, but they can't do nothing with him, and he 91 years old, and they can't do nothing with me when it comes to this information. I don't say that to boast or brag. I'm saying that because that's the truth. We real when it comes to dealing with our Kemetic teaching and the ancestors. And so we got some grand measures. We're going to show you how deep this methodology get, when it comes to these different measures of the metaphysical breakdown of it. And I said I was going to present this to our family too, by the way. I was going to show you why we interpret it just like they said. Why we use a symbolic interpretation, why the Moors do this, and also we don't use that term hieroglyphic no more. We actually use the term anaglyphs, because that's what they was called by the classical writers, anaglyphs. And I'm gonna show you another classical book. I'm telling you, I got books that they ain't never showed y'all and never will show y'all, because they going against this measure that I'm demonstrating. So they'll never show this to y'all. Okay, let me share that there. I'm gonna share the audio with it right here. Take a look at this, family. This is an old book. My archive's so full right now, it's saying I got to buy some more space. Look like I bought space last week. They said I got to buy some more. This was written by Gustavi Seifert, and this is called the Rudimentia Hieroglyphics, right? Now watch this. I'm finna go through the document. It's an old book right here, family. Everything I go through, you're going to get it from the classical. See, a bibliography is just like tracing DNA or tracing your lineage. Because when you go into the bibliography, this is the lineage of books, just like vexillology is the lineage of flags. Every nation has a first flag and then flags that branch off from them flags. You see, so it's the same way with books. If you trace certain books back and you go, that's what the whole thing is. When you go into the back of a book and the scholar's showing you their research, what books they read, there's a bibliography that traces back. So most of these books connect to each other, even all the way up into the modern time. So I like to go back to the root. Why I go back to the root? When I say root, I go back to the oldest information that has been spoken on the subject. Because I want to know what was said before all this new stuff changed the language. You see, that way I can have an overall view. I'm not just dealing with modern information and running with that like some of these ignoramuses like to do. And they think that means you're doing something because I'm dealing with updated information. No, family, just because a book new don't mean information is to be updated. This may be adding on to the information, but there ain't been no new finding. This is just somebody else's perspective in the modern time of what somebody else spoke on in the past. But if you go back to the original, you can see what was said before they started changing this stuff. And that's how, when I went back as far as I could, I can see how they changed the narrative. When Champollion came, prior to the 19th century, the beginning of that, everything prior to that, they taught that these things was metaphysics. Now look at all this stuff. inside this particular work, you know, the Hieroglyphic Rudimentary. They got all the signs in this demonstration right here, right? This is like a book full of signs. And this is where I actually got the term anaglyph from, because they use it in here. I think this would have been a good log, though, to use to create a font. You know, like to create your own font, because they so crisp. Got some real crisp glyphs in here. Look at that there. Just on and on and on and on. You can only get this here, and this is why I told you here. See where it says phonetic, demotic, hieratic, and hieroglyph. That's the order that thing's supposed to be revealed. Ain't supposed to be no hieroglyph coming first. You're supposed to learn demotic first, demotic, hieratic, and then the hieroglyph. Actually, even the Coptic, right? But see, then anaglyphic. You see, this is the metaphysical breakdown. Same thing right here. That's why I call them anaglyphs now. So if you ever hear me use that term anaglyphs, I'm using that specifically because ana, in the aspect of the glyph, has to do with analyzing. Anaglyphic has to do with what we call the expression of didactic art. And for those who don't know what didactic art is, I'm going to show that to you in a minute too. See, in every one of these things here, you know, your hieratic, you keep going hieratic, you know, and then you keep going, you're going to find the anaglyphs. You know, so, yeah, Hieroglyphic Rudimentary. You know, so, yeah. I wanted to definitely show y'all that, family. Let me close that up. So, like I said, I got a lot. Look at all this stuff here I got over here, family. I ain't even used none of this stuff right here yet. You know, a lot of this stuff I got to use and try to put slides together with. But look at that. Some of this stuff right here. A whole bunch of files, documents, and PDFs. You know what I mean? Like we can't make this stuff up. And don't let me go here. I can't even screenshot no more, family. This is where I crop out all of my information for my documents. You know, when I'm going into certain things, this why I be making all them slides. When I be having them 100 things in my presentation, this is where they be coming from. Some of this stuff I ain't even used yet. And all this right here really prove everything that I'm saying. You know, look at that there. This is all cropped out. And a lot of time when I crop this out and put it in a book, you know, I used to put it in there and I didn't put the source, and they be thinking that somebody trying to hide the source. No, it's just quicker to crop this out and it look neater, you know, but now I add that in there so they can't act like you ain't giving them no source. But trust me, I got the source for everything that I'm talking about. I just cropped it out to make it look neater when I present it to the people. You see? Because presentation is everything. And they know it be a source, where this stuff come from. I don't be making this stuff up. They know that, but they do that just to play game. But if you look, the source is right there. The source is up here, you know, but I've been giving them the links lately. That's what I do. For everything I bring out here, a lot of this stuff here, y'all, some of this stuff I ain't even showed to the public, and the public ain't never seen. You see what I'm saying? But I got sources for everything that I break down. And it go on and on, just like the flood. You know, when I told the people, if you ever heard me say I got evidence of the flood, I talk about how the Cushites of India is the same as the Cushites in Africa. I got all that information in here, but flood story in China, just like the flood story in Babylon, flood story in Africa. All of them saying the same thing in different ways, family. It tell you about a bird that was let out, and then they went to find dry ground. That's in Africa, Tanzania, family. Same story that was told in the biblical. China got their own flood story, and they saying the same thing, you know, about the repopulation of the world. Babylon, like we said, they got their flood story. The Chaldeans in India got their flood story, you know, and so I call this consensus. If everybody's saying the world was flooded, family, they can't be lying, bro. It had to flood. If all these people in different countries, they even had the Native Americans got their flood story, and it still correspond with theirs. So all of these people can't be lying. So that's what I call consensus in scholarship. So when I look up a lot of my information, I look my information up through different scholars and find a consensus through the variety of the information. And then I bring these sources forth to show our people what's being said. But the ignorant ain't gonna comprehend it. You see, I'm still going. Some of this stuff people ain't even seen yet. But like I say, this is my preparation chamber for my slides. You know, look at that. Look at that. So like that's the primary source giver of the social duties in the Moorish Holy Quran right there. In our chapters, he was the writer of that in its original state. You know, so man, I ain't gotta keep going on and over with this. I'm just showing y'all that I really do this. You know, how else they think I'm putting this stuff together? You know what I mean? Come on, man. How else they think I'm putting it together? By research, by study. I ain't doing this based off what somebody told me or what I was taught. This is my own independent research and being unbiased. That's another thing. I'm unbiased when I do my research. I don't, be racist about what I'm gonna accept. I ain't got no problem with European information. I'm just saying that the majority of our people want to accept Eurocentric information, but they won't go and do the research so we can reproduce our own. That's what this all boils down to at the end of the day, family. You feel me? Our brother said, what you say, brother? They act like it's hard to choose between what the elder said versus Reggie's sorcery. Yes, sir. He could try to contend with the fool pretending that he can read a picture. That's right. And then that's the main thing. He got up there. You need to acknowledge me as a scholar. That's what he said to me. Acknowledge me. Why is it so important that Commission acknowledge you? Because I'm coming up now and the people know that I'm bringing the truth. And you want to be able to say, I taught Commission. No, you ain't going to be able to say that right there. Because I don't be throwing my chairman out there. Talking about I was taught by I mentioned it going into the history, but you never see me making that as a foundational basis. People don't even know who my master teachers is, and I don't try to hide them. I know I can stand on my own when it comes to demonstrate my scholarship. You feel me? Yeah, they know what time it is. And he even tried to admit it in our last conversation. Trying to act like I don't want to go back and forth with the brother. He said he said he'd been looking at me for years. So I know he know what time it is. He just want me to be somebody that's at his mercy. And that ain't how I look at the information. I'm just here to teach my people. You feel me? So all I can say is they ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till I go to writing these books. The greatest thing I really honor and praise, the great God and the ancestors for a family is that they held my pen. They restrained my pen from putting anything out there before the time. Because had I wrote books teaching on the hieroglyphs, because y'all already know I can read that stuff like they be trying to read it. But had I did that 20 years ago, I would have had to come back and recant all that I said. But being that I haven't written yet, now when I write, it's written in stone. I ain't got to go back recanting nothing, wishing I knew what I know now back then. And so that's the thing that I'm honoring. They can't say the same thing. They've been out here teaching our people that lie. And now that I'm on the manifest to expose the truth, I ain't even attacking them. They think that I'm attacking them or they feel I'm a threat. They got to silence me I'm gonna mess their money up. That's what it really boiled down to. They got to make people think I'm crazy, I'm pseudo. They got to silence me. They ain't gonna be able to take nobody else on pyramid trips, museum trips, to try to tell them that they interpreting the language like that if this information get a foothold in the community. That's what it really boiled down to if you want to know why they trying to hide it. But like I always tell them, the general opinion of men will never alter the nature of the truth. I'm here to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. You see? So we want to give honors to your family, for your patience, and coming in. We dealing with that late night library too, so y'all already know that we're going to have us a measure ready for the night as well. We got to get back into God, man, the word made flesh, and get deeper and give our family the insight on how to heal the body and heal the self. All my information coincide at various different levels and degrees. They are, giving our family different measures of unfoldment, so to speak. So we're going to keep bringing this truth, family. We already know what time it is with the naysayers. They don't know what we know. So we're going to let them keep teaching what they teach. And we're going to teach one that each one may reach one. And we're going to really show it what it means to be a real Egyptian adept. We're going to show you how to make these things applicable to ourselves. You feel me? So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and close this measure out because we're getting ready to speak on my conference call. And I got to give my measure as well. So we love you, family, for all that you do and all that you will do and all that you're going to do. And at this particular time, I'm going to say, Unqua Jet Seneb, life, health, and prosperity be upon you. Shemo tep you the peace of the ancestors I bring to you. So I'm going to leave y'all with a good Morris track, as always, because we like to reach our people on all levels. So let me share this demonstration with y'all.
Back during slavery, when black people like me talked to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They sent some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master.
Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Blood diamonds in our veins, so we breathe free. Every nigga's a potential donor for a small fee. Over the years, I gave my blood, gave my sweat and tears. Upright, independent, and fearless, and it's all clear. They wanna see me on my knees with my hands out, but I refuse to be a pickaninny chasing clout. Your favorite rapper, honor master, he's a faithful slave. Phallus worshiping pagan rights for minimum wage. And I say the things that these house niggas wanna say. Can't cancel me cause I'm the coach, you watch me lead the way. My footprints are clearly cut cause I'm a big stepper. I leave eternal landmarks, therefore I live forever. My Morris ties can never be severed. Medieval demons plot to earn acceptance, and I don't have to get ready because I stay ready. Recite these banishing rituals, these are my confessions, and I got a 7-day theory like Machiavelli. That sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Freedom freedom of speech, just watch what you say. Them devils look for excuses to exercise they hate. Them soundbite manipulation justify the case. A pig's only agenda is to control our fate. So many snakes and I miss silent hissing like Judas, filled in malice and greed, but still I see through them. And I can see it in their eyes, they pray for my demise. A crown of thorns upon my head, but yet I hold it high. And I walk with purpose and pride in every step I stride. Cause I made a vow to the ancestors to ride or die. So without a burden of many spirits and lost souls, held captive within the struggle as I unfold. They hold the stripes on my back, look at my broken flesh. I'm speaking truth to power into my last breath. I hear true legends never die, and now I'm legendary. And I live forever through these lyrics, even when I'm buried. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, family. Y'all already know what it is. Like I said, y'all be easy. Stay well and keep resurrecting the people. Keep breathing holy breath on the people. I'm going to keep bringing this truth, family. We love you with love divine. See you on the next live.